That's really good. It has a sense of importance or meaning or something. It's amazing. It's the power of his music.
Because, for example, Mozart was doing his Masonic music. He would use 3 beats because of the 3 being an important number, and this is a 3-beat piece.
That was Masonic? Is that what you just said?
No, Mozart tried to translate many of the symbols into music, like, for example, the number 3. So he will use beats of 3, and this is also like a 3-beat piece. So, perfect introduction to our theme, Hoite.
Right, so you're saying that that's what Zappa was doing. Zappa was doing the Mozart 3-beat?
No, I'm not sure if he was doing the same thing as Mozart, trying to translate some Masonic symbols into his music, but it's perfect to...
It sounds like it.
Start it. Yeah, I mean, it's like the triangle. It's a very important, the square and the compass.
Right, the square and the compass.
All these 3, the number 3 is very important
so
for the mix. So it's a perfect piece to introduce what we are going to talk about today.
And why are we back together talking about this?
Because this hasn't stopped, the thing with the castles and...
No, the season. The season.
What do you mean, the season?
Well, we haven't. We're just being recorded now, so we didn't announce why we're here seasonally.
Well, because we are retrieving a lot of information of things you put in the past in many places, and we got renewed. We got renewed. The station renewed our contract, so this is the 2nd season. That's what I'm referring to. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we already did it before, but it wasn't recorded. Look, this guy, Kent Aleber Machism, says, rock and roll high school meets 50s documentary music. That's his interpretation. Rock and roll high school meets 50s documentary music. No, we don't agree.
You know, Zappa knew Silvestre Revueltas.
He knew what?
And, a composer called Silvestre Revueltas, a Mexican composer. He's on his list of the 179 influences. And this thing you play reminds me of one of his pieces.
And did you say Xenakis? Are you talking about Xenakis?
No, Silvestre Revueltas. He was a nationalist musician. After the revolution in Mexico, there was this nationalist movement, and he was trying to retrieve what he thought was, for example, Maya or Mexican.
Right. I think you got me to play one of his pieces, last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, you sent me.
Yeah.
So what we just heard sounds like his style of music?
Yeah, like Zappa was listening to all these contemporary composers from many places that he will get in his library, and I think he was trying to imitate what he was listening.
Right, and didn't Conlon and Caro live in Mexico?
Yes.
Yeah. So Zappa talks about Ruben and the Jets making Pachuco rock. Yes, it's a Mexican undertone. I never knew whether it was because he and some of his band members looked Mexican, or he thought of himself as somehow inspired by a Mexican milieu or something. I've never seen anybody go into that. Because Ruben and the Jets was a metaphor for his work, his composing, and he called it Pachuco rock. Do you know anything about Pachuco rock in Mexico, or what that came from?
Well, that comes more from the singers.
Singers.
It's more swing. That's more for, like a 40s thing.
Right. And it's not doo-wop.
Rock and roll.
It's before rock and roll.
No. Yeah.
So what's the satire there? Zappa's calling his band in the 50s before the 50s, which maybe it's a metaphor for him being a modernist composer, not a. Ben Watson says he's a modernist composer, not a postmodernist. Postmodernist is Reich and Philip Glass and those guys. So Frank knew that he was doing old music, and he was pretending it was relevant to the time by not telling people the history. I mean, it's like doing classical music and claiming it's doo-wop. It's like Mozart shows up, I got this great doo-wop record, new little these 15 notes, really good. And then they hear one of those, the magic of the flute, and they go, well, I don't hear any beat. I don't hear any a cappella. Oh, no, it's a new kind of teen music. That's what Zappa was doing, trying to smuggle his music on the market. Right?
Well, I suppose there are this type of tribes that like punks that started in the 70s, but we still have fun. You can find punks now, and maybe that was the same with the Pachucos.
Right. The guy can't
still around after the swing era.
Right. This Kant Liebermanchism says, an academy, thank God. This guy really digs what we're doing. We've only been doing it for 2 minutes, but he's quite excited that we sound academic.
Yes, and, well, actually, I wanted to talk with you about the Masons because when Gail Zappa died, Moon Unit published a lot of pictures of the Masonic books of Frank Zappa. He had a big collection of Masonic books. And lately, I've been discovering more castles, and I became aware of these groups before the Masons that were called the Compagnons, like the companions, this type of brotherhoods that claimed their origins are from the Solomon Temple. And it has a sort of logic with what Diane says and what I see in all these buildings. And it's really amazing, and that's why I wanted to discuss this topic with you, because you can approach this from another angle. And I think that's the big thing we have learned here is to see that there is much more to reality than what we think. Much more than the obvious.
Yeah.
There is much more to see. And actually, when I see, for example, the work of Michelangelo in the Sixtine Chapel or the Mona Lisa, they have so many hidden things, so many symbols, so many letters, information, and things you can see with mirrors, or you can, if you turn them around, like in your bottle, when I turn it around,
yeah,
I saw there is like a three-faced guy with the crown, and then I recognized that thing on the background of the painting of Frank I. And this is like what McLuhan was talking about with the vanishing point, that the artist shows you to see the hidden when you look from another vanishing point. You change the perspective and you can see or discover other information, or like the multi-entendre words in the Finnegans Wake.
Yes.
It's a sort of game, but at the same time there is a lot of information. Like they say, those who have eyes to see see. And what I see with these groups that were created before the Masons is that, in a way, this training was that they were trained to encrypt many things in the decorations and in the carvings, in the measurements, and those initiated could get the message. And in a way, I think that's also what you do when you do your chart and you present the different points of view, for example, of McLuhan or Joyce LaRouche. You are showing the different lights, the different ways they are presenting a subject.
Yeah.
And that's the light, I think, all the Masons talk about, the illumination.
Yes.
That the knowledge you gain from changing the perspective, from looking from another angle. Like, angles are very important. And, for example, the first stone they put on the building was always in a corner, and then they ended on the top. So there was this marriage, the earth and heaven, and the first stone is under the earth, and the last stone is in heaven on top.
Right.
So you go from the under to the ascension, and all this, the way they work, for example, doing this, it's a metaphor of what you are doing. The goal is to ascend, and so I see a lot of things that relate to Iandom in the Masons, but the Masons in the original pure Masonic groups, the free workers, and well, maybe you want to say something.
Well, as you're talking,
go on.
Yeah, as you're talking, I'm going through my archives to get out the articles on the Grand Wazoo, because that's his theme is the Illuminati or the fake Illuminati or pretensions of doing that. And I want to find things he says about it. So I'm finding...
Yes, but that's also the Finnegans way, the thing that there is much more to reality than what is obvious. And
he makes statements. Joyce makes all kinds of statements in the wake on that theme. Like he says on the top of page 81, yes, the viability of vicinals, which is like what's in your vicinity, what's in your environment, what's in front of your nose, the viability of vicinals is invincible if invisible. So that's... Yes,
and if one studies, for example, the plan of the Temple of Solomon, which is supposed to be, had been done by God and given to Moses,
yeah,
it's all like a giant, like the human proportions, and the whole thing of this temple was a place to put the laws and the Ark of the Covenant.
Right.
The thing where we put our power. So these groups of Masons were created to build the place where the Ark, where we put our power, it was supposed to be kept.
Yeah, it has to be well protected.
Yes, and the place where the Ark was supposed to be kept would correspond to the hypothalamus, to the head. And in many altars, you can see like a reference to that. Like I was looking at a church in Vienna called St. Charles.
Yeah.
in the altar there is a cloud of glory, and the eye, the illuminated eye, is inside of a cloud that looks like a brain. So all these things are there, but Dion is talking about
right.
The hypothalamus, like in the Sixtine Chapel, and on outside the church you can see the two columns, Joachim and Boaz, and there is water in front of the church, so it is reflected. All these things as above, so below, and inversion, and all this, like in Chambord, I see. In a way, it was all about taking elements of the Temple of Solomon into all the constructions.
Right. What do you? Hey, Bert, do you remember me playing much about the Freemasons through the years? Wait, maybe Bert dropped off. Let me. Yeah, he's dropped off. Okay, just a second. Bert, do you remember me? What I played of the Freemasons in the years when Ian wasn't available? Maybe he's the other one, the other anonymous.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But you discuss the Masons in the Dreaming tapes.
Yes. Did you ever hear anything else besides that?
No. I mean, whenever you tried to go into it, no, I never heard anything other than that in the Dreaming.
Yeah. Yeah, what people pay for. Yeah, I'm looking through my inventory to see if there's something we didn't play, maybe we weren't supposed to. There were sections that Ian gave us the secret word they used, the secret handshake or whatever, a bunch of their secret communications, and we were never to broadcast that.
But what I found interesting is that they claim they come from the creation of the Temple of Solomon, and they have a lot of knowledge from Egypt and Babylon, and this has been claimed for centuries.
Yeah.
So there must be some truth to that. It's not like all these people is crazy and they just say this. And I also find it very interesting that the temple they knew was going to be destroyed and built again, and destroyed and built again, like all these castles.
Yeah.
That Ian said the first construction was made by Moses with the white stone, and then on top of that, these castles were built.
Yes.
So I did some research on the Masons, and I just found it. I don't have the source. I did poor research. I didn't document the source, but I read somewhere where Mason came from Freemason, which is an Egyptian term meaning children of light.
Oh.
But I did bad research before I ended them. I did do research to document where I got it from, but that's in my notes.
Yes, because the word in French, like Frank, it's like Frank, the name Frank, and that means free, and all these people that were needed to build the cathedrals and the castles were the only free people. They were allowed to move around. All the other peoples were born somewhere, and they would stay in that town, in that kingdom forever. You could not go out of a city and inside the city just like that.
Right.
They had the gates, and you were not free to just move around. Only these persons were initiated because they were needed to do these constructions. And from the beginning, in the Bible there's a lot of details about that. It's amazing that because there were thousands of people working on the construction of the temple, they will have on one side the initiated, on the other side the ones that knew more.
Right.
Like that was I think the Joachim was the initiated, and the Boaz column was to pay the people that were really in higher degrees of knowing. And they had to give them a password, so not somebody that didn't work on the temple will ask to be paid, and so they asked for a password to see if he was really a worker.
Yeah.
Or a sign, and that's how they develop all these signs and handshakes and all this to control.
And of course that's what Zappa's satirizing with his hand signals for the band.
Yes, and many, for example, in France, there is this idea that for some reason France was chosen by God to keep this information, and they talk about les devoirs divins, like the work, the divine work they have to do.
Yeah.
And many of these works they used to use since the Middle Ages are still in use. And for example, a madre, which is mother, it's a good companion, a good worker, a person with a good heart. Or also is the good material, the good stone, the good wood is called a mother.
Wow.
So I found that also very interesting.
Yeah, so the slang of what a mother, and you apply it to all kinds of things, that's actually the meaning of mother. It's applied to a lot of...
Yes, and maybe I think Zappa somehow saw it somewhere.
Right.
He was into reading all this information about Masons.
Yeah, he spent a lot of time by himself. He even says it on his first album. He recommended people go to the library. So he did a lot of research as a late teen, early 20-year-old, all kinds of knowledge. And I guess that's shown by the 26 volumes of Freemasonic information that Moon Unit showed us.
Yes, and for example, in many ways, Frank the First had many attitudes that remind me of the Masons, because he will wear like a chain with St. Michael.
Yeah.
And like the Master Masons also wore that type of jewel. And he will see himself as like he was trying to imitate God, that God is the architect of the universe. And all these people were trying to retrieve the information that will help us go back and ascend. It's like in the information in the Book of Nature and on the Book of God. And that's why all these geometry and pi and the Fibonacci and the proportions and the orders of architecture became so important, because they thought they had this divine knowing that we somehow forgot when we fell. And I think you know a lot about this from what Ion has said about Moses.
Yes.
Constructing all these things, the pyramids and the castles.
Well, it's a tighter history than all the different books and all the different fragmented opinions of the Freemasons. When you realize that Moses started it all, and it all comes from him, then you have a lineage that's tight and is shown in the Bible. And that the Knights Templars and the Freemasons were interchangeable with his students.
Yes, because in these associations, they talk about Maître Jacques and the Frère Soubise and Salomon. Like
say those three words again. Maybe just speak a little louder.
Like Maître Jacques, like the Master Jacques.
Oh yeah, Master Jacques.
The brother Soubise
right.
and Salomon, and there were like three groups. And some think the Master Jacques is actually the Templar Jacques de Molay.
Right.
But
so,
they are.
What was the middle guy?
The brother Soubise, I think.
Ibiza. Oh, okay.
Soubise. And then Salomon. And it depends on how they orient, they make the orientation of temples, which brotherhood they belong to.
Right. But that would not be
I think the Templars will be the Orient, and that's why there are all these important lodges of the Orient.
The Grand Orient, yeah.
That's where the light comes from, and the sun, and all this.
But wouldn't what I got from talking to Ion about the Freemasons was that they were such competent parallel worlders, not all of them, but the ones that could do it were hardly involved in this world. They wouldn't identify with this world. They would have alternative worlds to go to. So the idea that they had to control us, they had to keep people ignorant so that they could, get some kind of benefit, some advantage, is not the case. We got a really limited view of them, that they are not interested in what little man would want because they got so much going for them.
Yes, because when one sees all these castles, all these constructions, all the alignments, I mean, it's really impressive that these things have been going on for so long. And they really needed people that was initiated and that really was in the knowing to do these things.
Yeah.
But, of course, these groups were really initiated, I think, by Moses. And, for example, when the king of France became Christian, they say the all men came from heaven, and they had like a contract that he will keep this knowing of Christianity, of ascension, of the cross and the blood and all these things. And that's how they think that France was somehow elected to keep this information. And when you see all these castles, one can see there is some truth in that. And they needed the church and the royalty needed to initiate the workers, and they had these degrees of knowing. Mm. But somehow, at some point, they felt the power of knowing this, and they turned against the church and royalty, and then they started the French Revolution.
Yeah.
And I think all these movements somehow degenerated into something else or evolved into something else which is not the real thing or they were really about. Like you said, there were a lot of ascended ones and parallel worlds that knew about portaling, because I think many of these castles are actually portals. That's why they were built in specific locations. And you can also see that in the Euros, you have all these portals of all the different periods of architecture and the bridges. On one side are portals, on the other side the bridge. And I think that also relates to this, because for some reason the finances and the building is like somehow like how we program the environment, how we build this reality are related. Our ideas of the money and the Templars control the money, the church control the money, and then the Rothschilds, and
So I'm going through my notes, my many sessions with Ion through the years. So just scanning through, I have here a topic. The third level in Freemasonry, only 200 at this level. 32nd degree is just the beginning place, and then it has their secret word. So there are levels way beyond the 32nd degree. You just started if you got to the 32nd degree. And you're talking about the history of thousands of years, or at least say the modern Freemasonry, 600 years. There's only 200 at the higher level, 200 humans. So there's that note. Now let me just move on through here. Freemason George Washington didn't play their game and become king. He actually did not want to stay within the elitism of the Freemasons. I mean, I have to play it, but that's my quick summary. Then it talks about the plumb. You mentioned the compass and what's the other part? Square?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I have a section here on the definition of the plumb, which is vertical, and the square is level. Freemasons in total, I have here 37,419 Freemasons in total. In history. 37,419. There's a section on the Knights Templars. Reagan was a Freemason. I have here, didn't care about the polls. Yeah, he didn't care about whether he was doing well in the polls or not. Jefferson wasn't. Now, I don't know what people say, but Jefferson wasn't a Freemason. Thomas Jefferson. LBJ was in a different order. Charismatic people in history weren't necessarily Freemasons. The chairman of the Library of Congress has always been a Freemason.
Yeah, I remember that.
You remember that you heard that?
Yeah, I heard that. I remember hearing that, yes. Also the total number, I remember hearing in that tape as well. 37,419.
Oh, okay. Now, looking at my notes, there's so much in here that it reminds me of stuff I've totally forgot. Like, I do a lot about the vortices. Well, Ian says here, we use the word vortex to indicate the space of the unrealized physical manifestations between you and you. So the vortex is in between. It's in the interval between you and you. That's interesting. Maybe I said that in the recording. I have here how the secret knowledge started. Ian first mentions the symbols later seen by Chad. Those are the symbols on my wall. Ian lists all the secret orders, all the secret societies. Did you ever hear the dreaming tape, Roxy?
Mm-hmm. No, I didn't know about them. But it's a fact that Moses started all these systems somehow. And it's interesting that it was not only about learning craft, but the teaching was not only the physical work, but also the development of what we used to call a spirit and like some.
It was a spiritual organization.
But, yes, and actually to go as far as you can go, as you say, if you can go beyond the known degrees.
Right, way beyond it.
Sense.
Now, did you just say you never heard of the Freemasons before?
No, the dream tapes.
Oh, you hadn't heard that. Yeah, you have not heard of them or heard them either.
Mm-hmm.
I have here a statement.
But I think that's very important because that's how these big, amazing cathedrals were made. It was not only the craft, it was beyond.
Yeah. So look at this topic. I have here, why Freemasons kept it secret and formed their own government. They had their own government.
Oh. But, for example, now I see the work of McLuhan and Joyce like initiations.
Yes. Well, let me tell you, Don Thiel has it in the Virtual March McLuhan. He says the secret societies began. I mean, he definitely begins in Egypt. He's talking like 3,000 years ago. He goes from Egypt to eventually gets to Rome, maybe Athens, then to Rome, and then to Paris or England, and then New York. But then he ends. Now, this was an incredible statement. He says the present day secret knowledge is in Toronto. So he's a student of McLuhan, and he's saying that he lists these historical people, and he has Toronto as the punchline.
You know, there is a painting by Poussin where there are like some shepherds pointing to a word, like I am in Arcadia or something like that. But the finger is pointing to the air. And if you cancel the air, you have the Acadia, and that I think was the old name of Canada or in specific Nova Scotia.
Mm. Where'd you read this?
So about the painter Poussin.
Oh, Poussin, Poussin. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he's
and you're always talking about Nova Scotia, and I was like, oh, there he is.
Yeah. Well, the Sinclairs, who were pretty advanced, aristocrats in Europe, they funded the first cross the Atlantic pre-Columbus, before Columbus, over to Nova Scotia. And then Carolyn's health practice was on St. Clair Avenue in Toronto. So listen to this. I have here History of the Emerald Tablets. Oh, geez, I moved it too much.
Yes, I mean, in a way, what you do is also like the initiation to learn to break the codes and master perception and make patterns. Yeah. So, for example, being able to understand the angel diagram.
Yes. And my chart is an initiation. Just a second, I lost my my thread here on the inventory that I was going through.
And I think that the problem with what became the Frankmasons was that even the higher degrees were not really aware of the whole totality of what is really the stone, what is really essential, what is all these things, and they took it like literally, like let's find stone and do this alchemy and
they'd be
get
influenced
lost in all these symbols.
They'd be influenced by the Emerald Tablets. So look at this. I have here a section, what the Freemasons knew. My notes say, Knights Templar were in Egypt before the Freemasons and began with Solomon's Temple. Then I have Stonehenge. Then it says rocks can't be carbon dated. I am assuming the Stonehenge stones can't be carbon dated. Then it has Back to the Future. That means the Stonehenge rocks were planted from the future. Then there was fine masonry at Delphi, the famous cult of Apollo. Templar monks. Gutenberg was a monk, brought in the printing press. For the indulgences, the printing press was first used for the Catholic Church. You know, they would hand out forgiveness certificates that they'd say, you are not insane. And you are insane if you don't have a certificate. So we give out the certificate saying that you are sane. You are a good Catholic. Called indulgences. That's what the printing press, he said, was first for. Then it has a note. Look at this. How Bob can cover up super knowing on these matters. He's telling me how to cover up stuff. and then I have the Sufis and the Assassins. And then it says, all empires have used the astral arts. That's my term for the parallel worlding. All empires have done that. Does that mean, what's his name did that? Stephen Jobs? Is he an empire? Did he fail to even get to that level, so he dies? But this is a good way to quickly go through this because, with my notes, it'd take days to play you the sections to find them. So I have here, Knights Templars did not create the Freemasons or the Rosicrucians. Then I have a section, Origins of the Freemasons. The CIA spy masters knew the Knights Templars and competed with them. Reinhard Gehlen, in the Nazi Empire, didn't go into the rift, even though he wanted to. So he wasn't a rift rider. Werner von Braun couldn't do it. So here are these major guys in Project Paperclip. They couldn't do it. Albert Schweitzer could do it. Remember him? You guys know who Albert Schweitzer is? Yeah, isn't he at Stanley Livingston, I presume? Is that the famous statement when he meets the journalist or something in Africa? Anyways, he was a guy who did, missionary work in Africa, right? He went out there and tried to help people.
Yes.
Now look at this. The Knights Templars are not connected to the Vatican, but the Knights of Malta are. Now, I have a note here, while Ian was giving this information, J.W.'s body was decorating his wife's a big birthday cake for some party. And that was one of the first times we heard about how elaborate the cake designs were. And we got some photos of that. So that J.W.'s hand was doing stuff that a human hand couldn't do. And so that's what his wife would witness while we're talking to Ion. Isn't that neat?
Yes.
Yeah. Your cooking culture down there in Mexico would love this.
With a knife.
What? Say it again?
He decorated with a triangle, an eye, and square.
Yes. But your Mexican food culture, they'd love to have Ion helping them. Doing extra beautiful cake designs. I guess the whole world would want that. Mexicans don't have a monopoly on food, do they?
No.
But you say Mexicans love to eat all day long? They eat? Is that what you said?
Well, usually when I am with other Mexican people, we just talk about cooking and eating and celebrating.
Well, having been in Berlin, do they have a lot of cooking knowledge? Or is it all just within the kind of cuisine that's done in that area?
No, we do all types of things, but usually.
Okay. We have a note here. Knights of Malta were affected by the economic crash. The Vatican and the pound suffered. Won't say that. Okay, next one. I'm just going through where Freemason is. So basically, I get from this that the Knights Templars were around before anybody. So they're the oldest. So then the Freemasons and the Knights of Malta were Johnny-come-latelys that competed with them, including the CIA. You know, there was, when I first met J.W., the first year or so, there was a lot of talk about the Knights Templars making overtures to him, and he wasn't going to get involved. Look at this, the meaning of 32, 2 sets of 16 tablets. The meaning of 32 in Freemasonry. And 1132 in Finnegans Wake, that's the date in Finnegans Wake. The repeated number, 1132, refers to the original 11 Knights Templars. Well, it says may refer. I don't know how precise I am saying that. And it says the Freemasons don't know what, either they don't fully know what they think they know, or they don't know what the Knights Templars know. So Moses has been an oligarch guy, Illuminati guy, and his team for thousands of years. And I guess I was their coach. For now, was their coach.
But, for example, LaRouche talks about the Synarchists and the Martinists and how they sort of corrupted these brotherhoods.
Yes.
And the ideals of fraternity and help and perfection.
Well, I have here...
It's just like a front to do bad stuff.
That's what LaRouche says.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we know that's not the case. I mean, they're not concerned about, they're not competing with people. So I have here in the story about Hyman, it says, they have a question here, is this the builder Hyman? And I don't know how much is in the kind of literature you're reading or is in the known stuff. Then it has the word Hemardar, Hemardar. And its code, it seems, for Harmarbone, Harmarbone. Hemardar, or maybe it's pronounced Harmarbone. They mispronounce it. And it says Solomon judges the murderers, hence the right, R-I-T-E. Sarah, Abraham's wife, had a child when she was like 200 years old. You talk about the tribes, the Iranians come from Ishmael. Go to the next part. Still looking, just a second. Look at this.
Yes, but I see that in a way what Ion is somehow retrieving the first idea of the original free crafters that they seek perfection in the physical, in the spiritual, in all aspects of your kingdom.
Yeah. And you're saying Ion's retrieving that?
Yes, in a way, the original idea of reaching the perfection.
That would be influenced by the Emerald Tablets. The Emerald Tablets are like the first spiritual cult. I never asked Ian about that, but it seems logical that these people came out of the the Emerald Tablets objects themselves. There's not that many people that have seen the actual tablets. So it has here, the Knights Templars and the Freemasons aphorism of the traveler. Are you a fellow traveler? Are you a traveler? It means death. I guess you have explored death or overcome it or realized there's no death. That's what I have in brackets.
But it's also like the metaphor of you have to die to
yes
to resurrect.
Yeah, they put you in the they put you in the coffin. I remember I went through the symbolism of that. They put you in the coffin. Now, see if you have anything on this. More on the Freemasons' 4 directions. Did you read anything on that?
Yes, but I'm trying to remember.
Okay.
Well, it's like, in a way, they were trying to put in the buildings a lot of information, like all the elements and the directions and the proportions, the measurements. And actually, some say, for example, that the centimeters and the kilometers were already known before they were officially used or known by everybody. Because sometimes when they measure the distances between, for example, the castles, they have a perfect distance in kilometers or in meters. So they were already using these other type of measurements.
Right. Now, we can ask Ian about this in the morning. Here's the next fact. Freemasons don't fully understand the meaning of 32 and 33. And I have in brackets, we will get the whole story from Ion. Ion describes the role of the crystal and the sun with the portal. Okay, so I'm moving forward. Well, in that list, so I'll go to the next part 2. It says here, Freemasonry is not a religion. Then I have a note, more on Freemasonry and town hall cults. Town hall cults. So then it says, in Washington, D.C., it's built on a Freemasonic grid designed to be a programmed terrarium, Terrarium. There have been 9 key masters, including Jefferson's father. Just a second. "11 sitting presidents of the United States were Freemasons." Here's an interesting part. Ian tells the Templars Freemasons layman story. The beginning of the original sin meme comes out of that. That's pretty interesting.
Which story?
The idea of original sin, comes from the Templars and Freemasons. The layman. You know what the layman? The guy who murders somebody. Murders Hiram.
The architect.
Yeah, murders Hyman, or whatever his name is. There's the beginning of the original sin meme, and it's the beginning of to usher in the kingdom of heaven on earth as it is in heaven meme. That's a very high spiritual idea, so that would come from the Emerald Tablets too. It says here, Ian doesn't like the Freemasons or Knights Templars idea that you must die to become enlightened. That's the layman story. You must murder the seed before it's put in the ground. That's the sowing and reaping meme, which Ian does backwards, does it in the opposite direction. So Ian is not for this idea of murdering the seed before he put it in the ground.
It's also the crucifixion.
Yeah.
That he had to sacrifice himself in order to resurrect and save humanity.
And that's something. Acting that out. Then I have a section that just says the headline, Why the Freemasons Are So Important, and then in subtitle, Plum and Square. Looking at another note, says the Yellowstone caldera, 40,000 years overdue. Probably happened tonight. There are no powerful Texans in Texas, no powerful Freemasons in Texas. And that relates to Carl Oglesby's book, The Cowboy-and-Yankee War, which was about the 60s and 70s, and Watergate. I hope I'm not violating anything. Well, they can't shoot me anymore anyways, right? Just goes right through me, so we're okay, I think. You're okay. I'm okay. Okay, let's just bring this up. What did Gerald Ford see as a Freemason, President Ford? He saw the serpent image. And then it says the Freemason code is, quote, have you ever traveled? And that means to other worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Gerald Ford purposely lowered the people's expectations because he was enlightened. Gerald Ford's mentor was Thomas B. Allen. His father was in the Scottish Rite. There are 3 levels: first place, loyalty, and ascension. 33rd degree, 11 degrees in each, in the first 3 levels. Gerald Ford. Now look at this, Bert. Are you there, Bert? I better check. Maybe he had fallen off. Yeah, as usual. Bert's been out of this. Bert, sorry. Did you have anything to say?
No, I'm just listening.
Yeah.
It's interesting, though, what you're outlining here. Very interesting.
Right. So the dummy President Ford was enlightened. He could parallel world and could get gold when he wanted to. And he was only at the 33rd degree level. And I have a note here. Ion chuckles at Bob's narcissism. I probably was talking about how unimpressed I was with Gerald Ford. Says J. Edgar Hoover was not a Freemason. Gerald Ford makes a lot of money from the Betty Ford Clinic. I think he died later that year. Gerald Ford makes a lot of money from the Betty Ford Clinic. The The 33 degrees also refers to 33 vertebrae. Is that how many we have? We have 33 vertebrae?
Yes. I've heard that before.
Right. I have a note here. JW's computer, during this session on the Freemasons, JW's computer at his home was spitting out Freemasonic temple pictures, like without anybody programming it. And look at this. Iron gives us a new symbol, then completes the 19. You know, I always say 19 represents Bob, B-O-B. 2, O is 15, and then another 2. And have 13 plus 6 symbols. That's our chart that Chad saw. It says the symbols are for getting back from different worlds. The only reason you have symbols. That could be what they're doing in the castles, parallel worlding traffic lights. Still looking. So it says JW once visited the Freemasonic temple, but the chip body got this one on its own, and it's a Freemasonic picture or symbol that popped out. And I guess JW in his trance saw that, but it came from Ion. Now, here's an interesting point, without going too far up. The 33rd parallel is important to the Freemasons. The Eskimos had it because the dragon serpent, I guess Chinese, showed up everywhere around the world. So the Eskimos have some of this less well-known knowledge. They're called Inuit nowadays, the Canadian Eskimos. You know, the dragon serpent is America and China, maybe. America's dragon and the serpent is China. And it showed up everywhere around the world. And it says, now look at this, we will add the French fleur-de-lis, but sharper and less curvy. Must have been talking about the design of the bottles.
Yes, and also about the castles, all the information.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something you are looking for in the 12th castle.
What was your last words? I tuned out.
Yes, there is something you have to find in the 12th castle.
Did he tell you that, or you're telling me that?
Ian said we are looking for a 12th castle.
Oh, yes, the 12th, yeah. There's only 11, and we're looking for the missing one. The keys / combination are on the side corners of the mercy seat of the Ark of the Covenant. Alexander Hamilton, I mentioned him earlier today, he supposedly died in a duel with the traitor Aaron Burr, B-U-R-R. But it says here Alexander Hamilton actually died from a faulty traveling, just like Edgar Allan Poe did. Didn't die from Aaron Burr. It says the 13th. The 13 is a very important number in this world, and not the 13 steps with Aaron Burr. I didn't know that. When they do a duel, I guess they go 13 steps. Look at this. You talk about Galileo. Galileo started it when he used the astrological signs excuse. Not sure what he started, but he started something. What's this say? The light went... then I have follow-up, the quote. The light went from whence it came. Galileo was a medium using lists of stacked-up keys, making the repetition to tell the queen when to go to battle. Galileo was no fucking scientist. He was in the Bob tradition of a fine medium. This bullshit that he was a fucking scientist. Isn't that what you found out, Roxy? Something about Galileo?
Well, I think they were all doing something else. What we thought what they were doing is just the front. But, for example, you see the Mona Lisa or...
Right. Look at this one.
What Ion says about Galileo is like they were doing much more than what we knew.
It seems the only knowledge worth having as a person is parallel worlding. Because that you're not imprisoned. You're not stuck in the same environment. You can go anywhere. That would be the most liberating talent. So it says here, the Mayans studied the stars for the same parallel worlding purposes. That's where I'm getting this idea. They all were doing the same goal. They went for the ultimate. And what's his name? Napoleon's running around all over Europe and Africa trying to find the technique to parallel world. Look at this. Silence Dogood. He's a character in Ben Franklin's letters, or some kind of fictional letter writer. He was from the old school of empirical knowledge, and these actual details in the letters were from the future. Then it says, apply this to modern physics use of the prime number. Listen to this.
In the Renaissance, there are a lot of paintings where you can see this type of UFOs. And, I suppose they were not aliens, but people going from the future to...
Right. They are also foreign bodies.
The parallel world.
But remember, there are foreign bodies from other solar systems or star systems who are in the UFOs. It's not just human from here. Now, here's another statement. All the magic artifacts and houses, which I have in brackets Rai, that's the first principalities. All the magic artifacts and houses organize the bloodlines to preserve the knowledge of the keys that I have sitting here on my wall. What's on my wall is what everybody was looking for. Oh, my shit. And I just let it sit here. Anybody come in to steal it. But apparently we have a lot of protection. No, people know not to come near here.
Yes, and many talk about looking the keys in, for example, proportions or some elements of architecture, like the plaza in front of St. Peter is like a keyhole.
Yeah.
If you see it from above, and Santa Maria del Mare is also like a key. And there are many castles that look like a key or a keyhole.
All right. It says in Fringe when they would collide the two globes to illustrate the collision of worlds, it says the two colliding globes are a case of Jung's archetypes of anti-occupying the same space. Not sure what that means. I have to actually listen to it. And more Nina from Fringe's story of the globes. So the occupying, maybe it means that something can't occupy the same space. Every space is unique to the occupant of it. Not sure about that, but just looking at these notes. Now, this is Zappa. How do we bring back to Zappa? Discorporate, come with me, drifting. And
well, he did many cover things about these things like the Big Wazoo and the Central Scrutinizer. And I mean, he was really wondering who is really controlling, who is...
Well, it's the only knowledge that's practically what you do. You know, I don't know if it takes a genius, but you have to realize, well, someone's in charge, and how is it protected? Are they malevolent? So if you're going to be a thinker, you have to go into this stuff.
For example, the hand coming from the heaven, that's also used a lot by Masons.
What would you say? Heaven is used by the Freemasons?
He will use some of the Masonic symbols in his covers or in his...
I never saw that. How do you know that?
Yeah, the hand coming from above.
Oh, yeah.
hand.
Yes, yeah. How's that? How's that a Freemasonic symbol?
It's like the hidden hand behind controlling.
Yes. Right.
But,
okay.
It's in a lot of Masonic illustrations. This hand coming from heaven.
That's pretty good. I have here the original 13 stars in the American flag were keys, but they changed their shapes. And there's a quote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident so they can have power over stupid people. Iron admits they're changing their dogma now." So does this sound like stuff that was on those tapes, Bert?
No, this is totally new.
We're getting exclusive here. Okay, look at this. The American fathers who could parallel world travel. There were 24. John Hancock, James Buchanan, somebody Stewart. I don't have the name either. I missed it or Ian didn't have it. Stewart, Ben Franklin, John Quincy Adams, Thomas Jefferson, Alexander Hamilton, Button Gwinnett. That's his nickname was Button, and Guinette. Paul Revere, George Washington, Abigail Adams, probably married to one of the John Adams. But a lot of presidents, and you have Gerald Ford being president. Everybody thinks the presidents are a bunch of dummies, and they're having a good time. So, is Donald Trump a parallel worlder? You have to be a parallel worlder to even become president. But what were you saying, Roxy?
Yeah, now it's known that most of them are also bloodline, that somehow they have some common ancestors. And
here's a good one. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, so the bloodlines. What were we going to say? Didn't want to interrupt there.
Just that, for example, the Masons, when they were hired by the king to do something, they will really do their best, the best of the best, because it was like the one with the royal blood, the one elected by God.
Right.
They will really excel in whatever they will do for the king.
Because why?
Yes, because they were aware of the
power of the traveling ability of the king.
Yes.
Right. Well, look at this. The method for parallel worlding. This process cracked the Liberty Bell. And it mentioned two people. You know about that? Did you go see that as a kid?
Yes, in Philadelphia.
Okay. Hey. Now, there were two guys, Pass and Stowe, P-A-S-S and S-T-O-W-E. They had something to do with the Liberty Bell. I remember Ian talking about this, but I don't remember the details. I'd have to rehear it. They were travelers, parallel worlders. So the Liberty Bell, they cracked it, I guess, fucking around in the lab. You know, was it goofing off from work? They're supposed to be building the bell, and they're all fucking taking off to other worlds. And they fucking got carried away and crashed into it and broke it. It's like, Three Stooges. And look at this one. I don't even know if I'm supposed to fucking say this shit. I may be removed soon for a breach of ethics or something. And the most western part of Independence Hall. What's that, Bert? Is that one with the Lincoln in front of it or something?
Independence Hall. I don't know about. I'm totally blank on Independence Hall.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'll look it up. In the most western part of Independence Hall, and then in brackets it has "Here at the Wall, Trinity Church." And then there's this topic, the ascension of the founding fathers. They were like fucking Jesus and the disciples. Let's see. Can we promise that to Ionauts? Join our group. Ascension is guaranteed. So what was I going to look up? The Independence Hall.
Independence Hall, yeah.
Now, if people think this got nothing to do with Zappa, they're wrong. Zappa studied all this stuff, and that was his only topic he was interested in. The only thing he did in high school was excel in civics. And then he ends up, wanting to run for government.
That was his secret agenda. He knew everything about the Constitution, about the Founding Fathers, he wanted to be a president.
Yeah. He started running for president in 1968. So he's like 27 years old, which is the age of Jim Morrison and Janis Joplin dying. So at 27, so he didn't blatantly say he was running for president. He got Tom Wilson, the great record producer, produced Dylan and all kinds of really good, stars. He in interviews, he talks about, we're running Tom Wilson is going to be the head of what he called the interested party. But Calvin Schenkel told me Zappa was, in that year, talking about himself doing it. But I guess he decided he didn't want to take the hit after he saw a few assassinations, so he got Tom to do it. Brought in the Black Caucus, Bert.
But
he exploited us.
Because his father also worked for this
military,
chemical plant.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the people working for government are also into Masons.
Is where both the United States Declaration of Independence and the United States Constitution were debated and adopted. It is now the centerpiece of the Independence National Historical Park in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Completed in 1753 as the colonial legislature for the province of Pennsylvania. Became the principal meeting place of the Second Continental Congress from 1775 to 1783 and was the site of the Constitutional Convention in the summer of 1787. And it's listed as World Heritage Site. It's interesting that I'm reading this because next week we go to the secret society to sign up for citizenship. We're going to sign up for the alternative United States, the alternative USA, the secret USA. So it's sort of timely to do this, talk about this American history. Get to be ready for the initiation. Okay, so what were we doing next? So Independence Hall, the western part of Independence Wall, do a lot of boogieing there, boogie into other worlds. The most western part of Independence Wall, that's probably, when they were writing it, they all were going to the other worlds to see, what was that next line? They didn't know what they were doing. They were just going and getting the script from the other world. Next part, we did that. Just a second. Oh, look at this. Edison was a Freemason. Edison was a Freemason and not an originator. He didn't do any fucking inventing. I think that's what's being said here. He didn't originate anything. The Tesla coil was static kinetic energy. What were we going to say, Roxy?
Yes, because there was that after the French Revolution, the Masons, that somebody said the Mason was the religion of the Republic. They were openly of the new Republic.
Yeah,
the Masons, because everybody was a Mason.
Well, that's what Ian says. They were deists.
And Napoleon even went to Egypt, and they were doing all types of retrieval of Egyptian goddesses openly. like ISIS.
Right. Look at this. I don't know what this is. 911 is Ascension Day. Is there an Ascension Day in Freemason lore, and they did it on their Ascension Day? Whoa. I have here, it says, then open the veil, but the humans rebel against the heaven and earth in much contrast. Flips back to the Mayans, Druids, Carpathians, and Tower of Babel in the future, ending up with Adam eating the apple. Yeah, like Laboué, the designer of Washington, D.C., was a deist and a Freemason. And there are tunnels for steam heating put in around 1800, ancient steam knowledge in Washington. Tesla was quietly brought in to do the AC-DC retrofitting. This pissed off Morgan. That was in the 1890s. Tesla used a copper discharge ratio and added electricity that could activate this genostructure of the humans and capture it, called squaring the resonance. Tesla was helped by the Liechtenstein crew, German parallel worlders.
And who? Jefferson, you said?
Tesla. Tesla was helped by the Liechtenstein. Here's a little thing. Ian does a little rant on Bob's ascendedness. That must be fun. So listen to that one. The Smithsonian building. Look at this, the Smithsonian. You heard of that, Roxy? You know about that, right?
You told me that you were going to tell me where to go next time I visit my sister.
Oh, yeah, right. Well, it says here, the key master works in the original brownstone, halfway across the mall. And then it says, Ian predicts this information will be very relevant concerning what's going to happen in Washington, D.C. Ian warns Bob, quote, don't be too right too quick. And then in brackets, profound proclivity of knowing. I don't know if he's describing me as that, or watch out, you might appear too right too many times. The guy who designed Washington was Edward René de Laboulaye, Laboulaye. He also designed the Statue of Liberty. They confuse him with Pierre L'Enfant. Strom Thurmond's father was a parallel worlder. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Gustav Eiffel's tower got parallel world assistance in making the Eiffel Tower.
And why would you think there was the revolution in America, and then from the influence of this contact with the French and the Americans, they go back to France and the revolution in France?
Right.
What was going on there, really?
Well, do you know who inspired these revolutions? Was the Dutch. You know, they became a wealthy place in the 1500s, and they were part of the
ruler of Venice.
No. This is the Dutch over, just opposite England, and the Netherlands. Now, the Dutch, they're a tiny little thing. They're part of I think they're part of the Spanish or Austrian-Hungarian Empire. Well, the fact that they whooped the Spanish at some point was a shocker to everybody, and inspired the American revolutionaries, which inspired the French revolutionaries, which inspired Ophenel, which inspired Garibaldi and those guys all around the States. But you don't think of it starting with the Dutch.
Mm-mm.
Okay, yeah.
No, because, for example, Larouche talks about the Venetians going to England and starting all these, this type of masonry and bank control.
Yeah, did you say divinations? What was the word?
Venetians.
Okay, yeah, the Venetians, they're reacting to the Amsterdam, and they eventually take over the Dutch oligarchy, and then they go to, in 1688, they go to take over London. So yes, the Venetians, I guess you could say, hijacked the Dutch success. That's why LaRouche will talk about Queen Elizabeth and whatever the Queen's name of the Dutch is. They're like one of the few. Wait a minute, you're blipping out. What'd you say?
That Francesco Sorti went at the 8th.
No, your phone's not working. Did you move?
Hello?
Okay, now that's clear. Okay,
yeah,
what did you say?
LaRouche talks about a guy called Francesco Sorti.
Yes.
That went at the time of Henry VIII to start this type of control by the Venetians in London.
Yes. Now, talking to Ion, I don't know if you heard this, many months ago, he said that the Venetians didn't have blatant control the way LaRouche says it, but they had their fingers in everything. But they didn't control everything, but they were in touch with much. So in some way they were like an intelligence network.
Because that's what LaRouche said, that they didn't took any sides. They were all sides.
Okay. Yeah, so that's right. They took all sides, right. Yeah. That's early tetrad management. That's a level of detachment. So look at this. Here's a topic. Bob's evoking of Ion is the real traditional alchemy. Now, that's fucking amazing. In other words, people...
Again? Can you repeat that?
You want me to read it again?
Bob evoking of Ion
is the real traditional alchemy. Now, that's pretty neat. People, if they were going to do something really significant, they'd invent or evoke Ion. That's the original meaning. Now look back at all the alchemical symbolism and see if you can see ionic aspects in it. It says Ion would have been killed back in Edgar Casey's days. That'd be World War II. And then it says Aion. Ion was a grain god. And that's, barley is what we do. We work with. It says Bob started to intend or create Ion.
Was that Egyptian or what? Where was Ion a grain god?
No, yeah, you'd have to look up Aion. I don't know what that is, or what culture. You got your stuff there? Shall I do it? Let me put in Aion. A-I-O. Are you still with us, Bert, or did you get sabotaged again? Let's see, web control. It looks like Bert got knocked off. Bert! What time is it over there?
Forsling, Bert.
Yes, Forsling, report. Report, Forsling, for evocation.
Report to the magnitude.
Yes, report to the magnitude. The evoking of Ion will be done once again. Well, let's see. I want to go back to the notes. So Ion, there's an Ion airline, free-to-play, upheaval. Oh, look at this. In the Wikipedia, Ion, which is Korean, also known as Ion, the Tower of Eternity. Oh, it's a massively multiplayer online role-playing game. Okay, so nothing there. So do they give the roots of it? Doesn't seem to give. Okay, that didn't work. Doesn't look like there is any historical reference unless you read the Egyptian Book of the Dead. It's in there, but they don't have anything in real literate knowledge named Ion. So it says here, I started to intend. Ion used to talk a lot about intention. I started to intend Ion when Michael Blake Reed stopped, and he stopped in late October, early November 2004. I wasn't going to have it. You know, no evergreens? Well, then I'll do it.
Yes, it's really amazing that, I mean, you were working with Moses doing the Solomon Temple, the pyramids, and then now with the...
Now the big one. Evoking Ion, that's the biggest Tower of Eiffel, the biggest Empire State Building. That's the biggest project you ever do. To upset... Did you hear us doing
the completion of your magnum opus?
Yes, my magnum opus. Did you hear when we were doing Thompson, where I read the line about he's going to rearrange the Earth, or this emerging thing, he's predicting Ion is going to rearrange the Earth and create a second sky. Did you hear that statement?
No.
Yeah, that's in one of his poems. Look, it says here, the kids are not sucked into the Freemason myth. Well, they need to know about the Knights Templars then. Here's something. The Chinese people have records before there was China, in brackets, Shambhala. The Tibetan Book of the Dead, written on bones, and they can be shuffled. Joyce was trying to create the same nonlinear effect with Finnegans Wake. There is stuff about bones in the Finnegans Wake. That's interesting that's what the Tibetan Book of the Dead was. Here's a title for a book that Ian suggested. The Timeless False Premise of Time. The Timeless False Premise of Time. Are you still here?
Yes, I'm writing it.
Oh, okay. Okay, when I move the little scroll, it goes too far. Look at this. In the Capitol building, there's the crypt in the Capitol building in Washington. All right, I guess Ian didn't want me to read that, so he moved it out of my reach. Yeah, I better shut up on that one.
When it gets interesting, you will say, "Oh, I cannot."
Yeah, that's right. Well, the good stuff is dangerous because it's the good stuff, the real stuff. You know, it's not. I'm not playing a game here. I'm trying to stay alive. But the more confident I get about they can shoot me all they want and the bullet goes right through me. Well, maybe I'll get sloppy. Now look at this. This is the damn fucking button moves too far. Okay, the serpent image. Well, we did that part. We did that. Gerald Ford was the last Freemasonic president. But they said Reagan was a Freemason, so that's a little off there.
But I suppose there are other type of brotherhoods or societies.
Yeah, they could be Knights Templars. It says 1/3 of the 60 signers of the Constitution were Freemasons. That's 22. He says 22 of them. Now, they may not have been successful peak achievers in Freemason land. I think it says 33 streets of Washington, 333s, 3,300 pounds at the top of the obelisk.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I remember when I was in the Capitol, I thought it was weird that they showed the apotheosis of Washington ascending. I was, what is this?
Right. What was it the picture of? Washington ascending?
In the couple of the Capitol, they portrayed Washington ascending.
Really?
Yeah.
And you're saying, what's that about? Nobody would tell Rocky anything.
Because I thought it was
You just thought he was a dumb man.
Well, yes, it was just like an exaggerated cult.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
like Lenin or Stalin. Or
right.
Like
but I don't think they didn't mean it as a cult. It was just literal. It was just a fact.
Do you think Washington really ascended?
Yeah.
They portrayed it there?
Did Ion say something you're asking me?
Yes.
I don't know if that. I did read something a little while back about he was a Freemason and they could all parallel world. That's ascension. When you can do parallel worlding and come back without getting lost over there and know how to do it, that's when you can actually stop doing it and stay still and really become aware. There's an esoteric statement by me.
We need a gong. Boing.
Boing.
You've been reading too much William Thompson.
Yes, I'm all fucked up by Thompson. Remember, Ian said I fucked up a wrinkle in the universe by reading LaRouche? Well, what's happening with fucking Thompson? Jesus.
Too much poetry.
The first thing that happened is that there were fireworks tonight, and there's no holiday. I mean, it was a bunch of people celebrating Bob getting all this on May 22nd. They just started throwing off fireworks, big ones too. So Bert, you were gone for a while. You got disconnected completely?
Yeah, my Skype problem. Had a Skype problem. It just cut off.
So what did you miss? I guess you're going to have to listen to the recording, find out what you missed, right?
Yeah. The the last note I had was Strom Thurmond's father was a parallel world traveler.
Right. Look at this. I write down, these are notes taken by me. Ion claims Bob is moving very fast. I don't even second say it's a fact. This fucking voice talking me claims that I'm moving very fast. Ian describes a good marriage. Ian predicts amazing stuff is coming. Bob will know whether anyone is a riff rider. Gerald Ford purposely lowered the people's expectations, meaning, he was enlightened, so he acted stupid. He had himself fall down stairwells. Saturday Night Live would make fun of him. He didn't want to be caught. He went stealth while being in the White House. Right there in front of everybody. Well, we're leading up to me reading the Grand Wazoo story. If any Zappa fans here are like, what the hell has this got to do with Gail Zappa?
This is just an introduction to the big Wazoo.
Yes.
How do you know what is that about?
Yeah. Okay. I may have done everything. Oh, I can go to the next slot. Okay. It's this. Okay, so let's go to the third listing. In the third one, there's nothing about free. These are notes from many, many readings, and there's nothing about Freemasonry in the third one. So it's time to go to the. So that was pretty good, eh?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a lot of information. It's amazing.
Right. It'd be interesting. It would be interesting. Maybe I'll go back and eventually listen to it and figure out what I can play. It might be fun to hear the details. Okay, so we're going to go find.
It has given a lot of information that maybe when I heard some of the things the first time, I didn't really got them.
Well, when would you have heard it?
No, not all of them, but for example, things about Saint Germain and the founding fathers and America and all this.
You mean over the last few months?
No, at the beginning, when he was talking about all these things.
Well, you evoked it. See, when was that?
No, before I even...
Oh, yes, you might not, you weren't even here, so to speak.
Yeah.
You missed it all. Well, if you haven't heard the Dreaming tapes, you got to get those. And there's three set. What are those three topics? Bert?
Yeah. Three
Dreaming,
topics?
Alchemy. There's Dreaming, Alchemy, and a third one.
Dreaming, Alchemy I have. There's 2 sets on each.
2 cassettes, 2 sessions.
2 sessions each. I don't know the third one, Bob. Damn. I don't know. I'm complete blank. But I know Dreaming.
Alchemy. Let's see if I can look it up. I don't want to, Bert. Fucking piss me off, so I got to look it up, but I'll try to be friendly.
I'm looking up on mine. I'm looking on mine as well, Bob. Hold on, I'm looking at mine.
Yeah, no, I'm just joking. You know what? Hey, Roxy, you didn't hear us talk about dinner. That was one.
Aging.
That's important.
Aging.
Yes.
Aging.
You want to hear aging, alchemy, dreaming, and relax and allow is probably, that's good. Yeah, relax and allow has an important, the mathematical formula in the second, the allow part. That's pretty interesting. And that leads to the formula, the 4X formula. So, what was I looking up? Oh, I was looking up what you found. Okay, we don't need to do that. Okay, so here we are, 12 o'clock. We've been going on for over an hour. And now we come to the album, the Grand Wazoo, and let's just get maybe the wiki statistics on it. So Zappa has been thrown off the stage, almost killed, and he decides to do a jazz rock kind of new kind of music, and he's not going to do the blatant rock anymore for a while. So he's changed his image completely. So it says, the Grand Wazoo is a 1972 jazz fusion album by Frank Zappa and the Mothers, composed and recorded during Zappa's period of convalescence following his assault in London. The album, along with its predecessor album, Waka Jawaka, I bought them in the reverse order. That's July 72. That came out, and then I think the Grand Wazoo came out second. But in my experience, I got Grand Wazoo first. The predecessor album, Waka Jawaka, represents Zappa's foray into big band fusion, the logical progression from Hot Rats, 1969, which used a much smaller lineup. The album, Grand Wazoo, was the last release on Zappa's Bizarre Records label. This was official release number 16.
But I think it marks an important point because, he almost died. And I suppose that must have been...
That would be a tragedy. So you know what he's doing?
It's why the Masons do this type of symbolic killing, to make you reflect about many things.
Right.
Like what is important, transcendental, and all these things. So he sort of have the experience.
Yeah, so look at this.
And then
this is 1972. Watergate happens in May 72. And it's in the news, but it's not a big story yet, I don't think, because Mae Brussel wrote the article on it, and then that started to draw people's attention to it because he connected the people involved in the Watergate, the plumbers, back to Kennedy assassinations and all kinds of other historical conniving in the 60s. So her essay, funded by John Lennon and Yoko Ono, Zappa might be, that's when the American culture started looking at conspiracy at different points during the Watergate unfolding over the next 3 years. Zappa picked up on it. This may be why he did this, because it was in the popular consciousness to start looking at who's behind the scenes. Let's see if there's anything else.
And I think that was the first big scandal involving an American president. Like,
yeah.
How can this be?
Yeah.
Right. And then it's a big band. Now, the big band is the 30s. And that's when there still was top-down conspiracy possibilities. You know, it wasn't an information global theater world yet. So he may have made this in big band only to illustrate the topic was from that era. Didn't apply to the Elvis or 60s era. There's a new idea. This type of music, it's like what I do. I got on my chart, I've got McLuhan, and I have dates for what he's a replay of. He's a replay of 1900 to 1918, which is the Wyndham Lewis period. And I have certain ratios of senses in the far right column. So Zappa says, okay, the people are starting to go back to World War II consciousness. Time to get the big band out. Like he was responding to sociological and fads, sociological events and fads. It says, the instrumental makeup of the Grand Wazoo is a big band, is big band. It was the third album released in a period where Zappa used a wheelchair and was unable to tour after being assaulted and pushed off stage into an orchestra pit during a London concert. The Grand Wazoo consisted largely of instrumental pieces, similar to three of Zappa's previous albums, Hot Rats, Burnt Weenie Sandwich, and Wacka Jawacka. In this same period, in analog recording, the number of tracks available was expanding. Hot Rats had been released a few years prior to Grand Wazoo and was recorded on one of the first 16-track tape machines. It featured multiple tracks of clarinets, flutes, saxophones, piano, and organ parts played by a single musician, Ian Underwood. At the time of the Grand Wazoo, the compositions were arranged for large ensembles, which were conceived as studio recording vehicles rather than live touring bands. Zappa was also producer and principal composer for Jean-Luc Ponty's album King Kong during this period. Then it goes into, well, not too much. It says, Eat That Question. And in my interview with Zappa, he says it was originally Eat That Christian. But it got changed to Eat That Question. Features George Duke's piano playing and the recording of the Fender Rhodes electric piano in a novel way. Most recordings of the instrument prior to Eat That Question were not of comparable sonic quality or production value as Duke's performance on the piece. The track is a vehicle for George Duke's electric piano and begins with a rubato intro followed by the entrance of the full rhythm section in time. On this and several other tracks, Zappa plays a flat-top acoustic electric guitar using a wah-wah pedal and a Maestro phase shifter or Leslie speaker for a chorale effect. The Barkus-Berry transducer used was at the time a novel way of amplifying the instrument instead of using a traditional magnetic guitar pickup. The Zappa Plays Zappa band, led by Dweezil Zappa, the eldest son of Frank Zappa, tours since 2006. Regularly his tours have featured Eat That Question, with the song serving as a vehicle for both keyboard and guitar solos. They also incorporated Blessed Release, another song, usually introduced by Dweezil as an underappreciated Zappa composition. So let's read the story. This is what's on the album sleeve. Uncle Meat. Now, in Grand Wazoo, as soon as I see the word Uncle Meat, he's in the Uncle Meat album. We read his story. He's the government scientist that's laid off. So Frank goes back to him. Uncle Meat is in the base. Oh, let's make this larger. Uncle Meat is in the basement of a secret laboratory. So there's Frank talking about himself. The lights are dim. All around the basement, mysterious wires and cables dangle over, out of, around, and through an unlikely collection of dust-covered desks, trunks, umbrella stands, and a huge maroon sofa, terminating in a fake maple bookcase like you might get if you ordered the whole Collier's Encyclopedia at one time. So that's like Ion's over, under, every way the rabbit could fuck a stump. Cables dangle over, out of, around, and through an unlikely collection of dust-covered desks, trunks, umbrella stands. Then it says, Stu, which is Uncle Meat's first name, and you have this whole thing about Studebaker Hawk, who's a FBI guy, government intelligence. Is that a different version of Uncle Meat? I never thought of that before. Stu, which is Uncle Meat's first name, crouches malignantly near the bookcase, fumbling through a stack of books, records, newspaper clippings, religious pamphlets, and campaign buttons. That's Frank, looking for materials, just looking at the garbage of his L.A. environment. He applies light friction to the rash on his throat, muttering, yes, it's all here, every bit of it. Everything I need to create my greatest masterpiece, unquote. Excitedly stuffing the whole bundle into the topmost empty shelf of the bookcase, Stu, or Uncle Meat, dodges swiftly to the desk, applies his protective green visor and garden gloves, laughs his special pseudo-scientific laugh, and jerks vigorously on the handle of that big electrical switch he uses all the time.
There we need all the sound effects.
Yes, yeah.
Do a laugh.
All right, you do it. But the big switch, that was in Uncle Meat. The big switch out in the desert. As you might expect, big sparks poot out of everything, and the overhead bulb blinks on and off. A filtered shell. Thank you. Very good. Yes. A filtered cello section goes dun dun dun. You know that cliche. Dun dun dun. That's Joe Dun Sloan. D-cell. Dun dun dun. Joe Dun Sloan. Right there. D-U-N-N. You can see it. Only I see Joe Dun Sloan in there. And that's when we were hanging out with him. But you can't hear it. The filtered cello section goes dun dun dun, but you can't hear it because the sound effects are too loud, I guess, of the environmental sparks. When he turns the switch off, all the sparks stop, and all the noise stops, and the books and pamphlets, etc., have vanished. Uh-oh, he's gone to another world.
Oh.
Yeah, if they vanish, he's gone to a different place.
Ascended Mason.
Yes, aha, Stu, Uncle Meat. In their place, outside the lab, not more than 5 furlongs distance, is a life-size, minutely detailed, historically inaccurate, somewhat perverted, illusionary replica of ancient Rome or something. There's your hologram. When he turns the switch off, all the sparks stop and all the noise stops, and the books and pamphlets, etc., have vanished. In their place, outside the lab, not more than 5 furlongs distant, is a life-size, minutely detailed, historically inaccurate, somewhat perverted, illusionary replica of ancient Rome or something.
You see, that proves he was initiated. He knows about parallel worlds.
Yeah. The ruler of this illusion is Cletus Awreitus-Awreitus. That's A-W-R-E-E-T-U-S, Aritus, and then Awreitus, A-W-R-I-G-H-T-U-S. Cletus Awreitus-Awreitus, the funky emperor. Cletus has a fantastic army of unemployed musicians. That would be Zappa. Him and the army run the place when they're not out fighting the war with the illusionary arch-villain Mediocrities of Pedestrium. Mediocrities of Pedestrium. The illusionary arch-villain. That's the frame-up that came up out of Watergate, that the left and right were run by a higher committee. Most of the Hell's Angels were FBI agents out to terrorize the population. So they run the Rome when they're not out fighting the war with the illusionary arch-villain. Mediocrities also has a fantastic army. These two armies punch out every week on Monday. I guess that they don't punch out of their job. They actually have a fight. The way he says it, these two armies punch out every week on Monday. Well, maybe they punch out and then have the fight. Well, let's see. Score of the weekly battle is posted on billboards, telephone pole flyers, spray-painted aqueducts, and store tables called the charts. That would be the billboard shape.
Oh.
Oh, the charts. Holy shit. Yeah, I forgot about that. The Battle of the Charts. Holy shit. But he's saying that this battle happens, and every week.
On Monday.
On Monday, spray-painted aqueducts, telephone pole flyers, billboards, store tablets, sorry. And stone tablets called the charts. There's the emerald tablets. That's what we were doing tonight. We were analyzing the emerald tablets through the chart a little bit and getting Ian's take on the Illuminati. So what does he telephone pole flyers, spray painted? Now that's usually
the results of the battle.
Yeah, and they are usually entertainment notices. This band is playing at that club. Selling. So it's normal commerce. So commerce is the reflection of a battle, a secret war. And McLuhan has that in Understanding Media. He says, business is a battlefield, and he cites a newspaper article. So Zappa's pointing out that war is taking place in peacetime over environments. Who's running what environment? And Cletus is no exception. Now, Zappa used to say that. Look, I got my own problems to deal with. He never went around saying he was happy and oblivious. He always said he had problems to work out. So this is autobiographical. Every emperor, funky or not, has problems to deal with, and Cletus is no exception. Aside from the long-drawn, doesn't say long-drawn out, just this long-drawn war, there is a problem of civic unrest. A grotesque cult of masochistic ascetic, that means, they don't participate in their senses much. A grotesque cult of masochistic ascetic fanatics who don't like music has sprung up in the catacombs beneath the emperor's very sauna bath. These people are called questions. So that's the Christians in the catacombs. But you've got they don't like music. Now that becomes a big deal in Joe's Garage 7 years later, how the Central Scrutinizer bans music. So what we have here is the masochistic ascetic fanatics won, and they took over the government, or took over Zappa's hologram. Cletus deals with them benevolently in the civic auditorium. After they are captured and held in abeyance for one while, and they misspelt it, they've got O-N, but I used to say that, well, I'll do that for about one while. I used to think that was so cool. One while.
Yes, it's the idea of no time.
Right,
yeah.
Good point.
For a while.
Ooh. After they are captured and held in abeyance for one while, misspelled, so the most important word has no E on it. Isn't that the way it is for most people? They never get the shit. There's one thing that's important. Somebody made or Ion altered it. After they are captured and held in abeyance for one while, announcements are made to the rest of the public at large. That's some big words. Public at large, proclaiming a festival. Lewis says a lot about how festivals are oligarchically controlled for audience distraction. Then it says, the questions are stampeded into your usual dirt floor oval arena. I saw him, say a couple months before this was written, in September, in London at the Oval Hammersmith, I think they call it. So, He's putting Bob's. That's where I saw this band, in oval named arena. Uh-oh.
The Warriors.
It's becoming me again. War wound. Oh, no. Can't I go anywhere without it being about me?
The band of gladiators.
Yes. Okay, so I'm just looking up. What was I looking up? Hammersmith.
You were remembering.
Yeah,
the
Hammersmith.
Arena.
Is that Oval in London? Is that the Oval Arena? I actually have a list. I have a book in the other room of every Zappa concert. So we could go look the date. Actually, I looked it up about a year ago. Hammersmith is a district in West London. So I've got to put in stadium. Just a district. Okay, they have something called Hammersmith Apollo. It's an entertainment venue. Women, okay. So, Oval. What are you guys doing?
I'm going to make a sandwich.
Okay. Oval.
Listening.
Stadium. London. The Oval. The Oval. Currently
the Oval.
Yeah, it's a
Coliseum.
You know it?
No.
It says the International Cricket Ground at Kennington in the London Borough of Lambeth. I'm going to have to go in the other room and look it up. I won't do it right this minute. But it is interesting how, well, maybe I should get it done now, right? It can't be.
Yes.
This is the beginning of the Zanarchy.
The record.
Yeah. Is this the beginning of Bob's Zanarchy once again? In my mind, the word oval is in the title of the stage. And I went to it with a guy. I knew his girlfriend in Halifax, and we met them in the youth hostel at that point and invited them to the Zappa thing. And I'm now a face buddy friend of his, and he's a very active Toronto theater writer, playwright, and he has a very active Facebook commentary. Unfortunately, I have to go into the garage, and I don't know if I want to do that. Let's just pretend it is, okay?
Okay.
I mean, I know I went to the Oval.
You say your magnitude.
Yes. Maybe I'll just Google the Oval Zappa, see if that comes up.
$1972?
Yeah. September.
There's something in Google.
You're doing it?
Yes. So Rock at the Oval, Kennington, September 16th, 1970. Yeah, okay.
It's called the Oval. That's the cricket match. Oh, man, it lists all the bands. I had to put up with all this fucking heavy metal or whatever they were, Quaalude bands. They weren't very good. I didn't like them all day long. So I've heard of Hawkwind, Jeff Beck. I wonder if that's Jeff Beck, Bogart, and Apogee. They were Vanilla Fudge. Lyndon Lewis, I don't know that man. Biggles, Sam Applepine Quiver, MC Kid Jensen. Well, it's amazing. Look, they got a poster there. And it's called At the Oval. See? And he's talking about a few months later, the questions are stampeded into the usual dirt floor oval arena. Hidden, a little nod to Bob and all that I taught him. Not in music. I wasn't very good at music. It says, it is at this point Cletus, in full regalia, now there's a song in Hot Rats, Peaches in Regalia, in full regalia enters and speaks to the questions through an oversized, primitive, but effective megaphone Now, on We're On for the Money is the chrome-plated megaphone of destiny, so there's the continuity of that. He speaks through an oversized, primitive, but effective megaphone known as the Grand Wazoo. So the Grand Wazoo is the megaphone. First he says, hi.
The amplification of the voice, that's the power.
Right. He's doing the electric age. He's doing the Hitler thing.
No, but that's the real power, the speaking.
Electrified. That's what the Nazis did. They had a public address system. So he says, now remember he's doing the 40s, 30s, so that would fit, right? First he says, hi, cats and kittens, to which the audience responds, Aritus, Awreitus, Aritus, Cletus. Whereupon the emperor asks, quote, any of you folks sing, dance, or play a musical instrument, unquote. In some rare instances, a question or two will arise from the fanatics, remember they don't like music, and raise his or her hand to signify some repressed talent or interest in things of a musical nature. These reformed questions are permitted to leave the arena and join Cletus's army, which is in reality a big band. See, there it is. His army is a big band. That's Frank, the Grand Wazoo band. Let's see. Instead of boot camp, the musician and his army, they get sent to work in one of the many beer-dispensing, topless/bottomless nightclubs under the careful instruction of a sensitive, understanding club owner who will train them for the big stuff. Ever heard of a bottomless club? Topless, bottomless nightclub. Under the careful instruction of a sensitive, understanding club owner. So they get to go work in a club. The questions that don't answer the first time are given a second chance when a scantily clad nubile maiden dashes into their midst with gaily painted cardboard box containing spoons. And if they show some indication of natural rhythm in the use thereof, they are released and sent to Nashville. Having been as fair as possible to the prisoners, Cletus must now regretfully, so he's dealing with concentration camp victims. Having been as fair as possible to the prisoners, Cletus must now regretfully dispose of the ones who refuse to alter their unmusical ways. Bowing his head in official sadness, he gives the secret cue, that would be the hand signal, to the electric piano player in the pit orchestra, who cranks off a funky intro. At the conclusion of this, signified by the entrance of the drum set and electric guitars, and a procession of union reps, squealers, goons, and contractors, all tastefully dressed, tug mightily on the end of strain-resistant nylon hawser, which propels a disturbingly large radio flyer wagon into the center of the arena. Reading that again. At the conclusion of this, signified by the entrance of the drum set and electric guitars, and a procession, doesn't say and, at the conclusion of this, signified by the entrance of the drum set and electric guitars, a procession of union reps, squealers, goons, and contractors, all tastefully dressed. No, wait a minute. That's not the way you read it. Okay. At the conclusion of this, signified by the entrance of the drum set and electric guitars, a procession of union reps, squealers, goons, and contractors, all tastefully dressed, tug mightily on the end of strain-resistant nylon hawser, which propels a disturbingly large radio flyer wagon into the center of the arena. The wagon contains a giant aquarium sort of thing. See? Oral speech habits or rhythms into the alien written world. Who writes aquarium sort of thing? You're not allowed to fucking do that, man. You got to put a noun in, right? The wagon contains a giant aquarium sort of thing, in which we see writhing an impressive amount of capital U, capital D, capital T, in brackets, undifferentiated tissue. We see writhing, so the undifferentiated tissue is moving, it's alive. It's a symbolic accumulation of all the statistical errors and failed attempts of this empire's illusionary scientific community. So all this undifferentiated tissue is a symbolic accumulation of all the statistical errors and failed attempts of this empire's illusionary scientific community. The fetid tank is towed to within lethal proximity of the unmusicals. The Union people go away, as they always do, and after receiving a series of congratulations, awards, business cards, and fund donations, hold a board meeting off to the side. So the Union goes off and has their own awards ceremony. The Union people go away, as they always do, and after receiving a series of congratulations, awards, business cards, and fund donations, hold a board meeting off to the side, where it is unanimously decided to provide an ultimate solution for the questions. See, more Nazi stuff. The solution itself is released when a high guitar twang shatters the glass of the undifferentiated tissue tank. The solution itself is released when a high guitar twang shatters the glass of the UDD tank. It burbles and fumes for a few moments, finally gulping all the questions down. But this is finally gulping them all down. It burbles and fumes for a few moments, finally gulping them all down. A hush falls over the arena as the vapors dissipate, and the pit orchestra makes triumphal reprise of the opening figure. Those are words that Roxy would understand. The opening reprise, or the opening figure for the triumphal reprise. Is that what we heard when we played that song? Da 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 da.
Yes.
Run home slow.
Yes, I'm eating.
Oh, okay. You're eating your popcorn. Okay.
My sandwich.
Yes. So, triumphal reprise of the opening figure. After the fun of the arena, it's back to work as usual for Cletus. He returns to his regal chamber for a formal dinner with his staff. On his right, the ones that give him the support he needs. Erroneous, his bass player. Gregarious, his drummer. And Per Diem, his roadie. Or Per Diem. Well, how do you say that in business? Get it, Per Diem. Per Diem. And Per Diem, his roadie. On his left, he keeps those other kind of people that tend to hang out with your average emperor. Trivia, a hot girl who likes to get flogged. Cretinus, the biographer. So there's a put-down of David Wally. Cretinus. Nefarious, which was going on a year before. Nefarious, the guy with the long, stringy mustache who gives advice. Equilibrium, the pharmacist. Dysmenorrhea, the squirting female oracle. The squinting female oracle. Squirting, the squinting female oracle. Photon, the lighting director, and so forth down the table. That's a nice pun, eh? All right. Each week at the same point in the dinner ceremony, just before they serve the oiled pessaries, an exhausted runner crashes through the doors, falls to his knees before the emperor and wheezes, quote, "They're coming, quickly, we'll be surrounded," unquote. The runner is then revived. He always blacks out right then, but is revived with a transistor radio tuned to Wolfman Jack. Now, I met Wolfman Jack in the summer of 72. Did I tell that to Frank? Did he put this in because he was thinking of my wonderful summer experience with Wolfman Jack at a tiny grade school? It was like people in grade 6.
Yes. Let's say you did.
Yes, I did. Frank is referring to recent events in Bob's life. This is Bob. I'm the fucking emperor. Of course it has to be about me. Frank knew. Wow. Where was I back then? I was so fucked up, I didn't even notice it. What? Another album about me, Frank? Come on. And raise my rates. The runner is then revived. Now, just before I read the word runner, I said whatever the sentence before, I thought of runners. Because I was talking to somebody about that today. So even my reading of it is fucking pre-anticipated by Frank. My thoughts. I think a thought before the next paragraph, and then the fucking thought shows up in the paragraph. Tell me I'm not living the Tibetan Book of the Dead. The bardos are being me as soon as I fucking utter myself.
I guess you live ahead of you.
Yes. So I make everything line up because I'm not here. I'm over there. You're hearing a guy talk who's a puppet. I'm a puppet of myself.
Isn't it fun? You get into this Zappa stuff, man, and you find all kinds of incredible, who knows? We never anticipated this. I never knew this fucking thing was about me. The runner is then revived. He always blacks out right then with a transistor radio tuned to Wolfman Jack. Once his consciousness has been regained, guards remove him to another area where he's pumped and waxed for further information. See, there's the torture chamber. That's what I do. I fucking did all this shit. This is solar government expose. Jeez. We try to do a serious scholarly fucking Zappa thing. We end up fucking in the same goddamn place where joking about Bob's life. I mean, this is getting stupid. Anyways, I'll like it, though.
It's a day in the life of the parallel world emperor.
Yeah, the parallel emperor. Cletus immediately calls his service, his answer machine, or whatever they call it, the people who take your calls. Instructions are given. It must mean instructions. Instructions are given for Ben-Hur Barrett. I think he's one of the band members in the Grand Wazoo. Instructions are given for Ben-Hur Barrett to contract the whole army, in brackets, if Motown will let him take any outside jobs, this being perhaps the most outside job he can get. So again, talking about himself and me, right? Takes a heavy Motown guy. If Motown will let him take any outside jobs, he'll contract the whole army. The combined forces of the Army Aritus, that's what's called, the Army Aritus, include 5,000 brass players, assorted, which is the Air Force, 5,000 drummers, assorted, which is the artillery, 5,000 players of electric instruments, assorted, which is the chemical, biological, psychological warfare section. That gets into AIDS. And 5,000 guys, and of course the AIDS guy that he uses in his last book, in his autobiography, on the last page, he uses information I gave him, which happens in 71, 72, right in this period. But I didn't tell him that then, I don't think. And 5,000 guys with masonite boards strapped on their chests, each one firmly grasping half a coconut shell in either hand, which they pummel rhythmically on the board. This is the cavalry. Cletus leads them into battle with his gleaming mystery horn. Many believe this instrument to be nothing more than a C melody saxophone borrowed from Jackie Kelso. Now, Ian told us the C was an important horn, right? Wasn't it like the...
Yes, and also that was the note that was heard with the gravitational waves. They heard the C.
The gravitational what?
The gravitational waves.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Jackie Kelso, better known by his stage name, Jackie Kelso. What? Oh, his name is John Kelso. Was an American jazz saxophonist, flautist, and clarinetist. So we're reading... Wait a minute. So it has a reference to Jackie Kelso. The instrument was borrowed from him. I'm going to reread the Army setup again. The combined forces of the Army Aritus include 5,000 brass players, assorted, which is the Air Force, 5,000 drummers, assorted, which is the artillery, 5,000 players of electric instruments, assorted, which is the chemical, biological, psychological warfare section. So you've got brass, that's lofty, like Air Force stuff. Drummers would be the artillery, and then the electric instruments are squealing chemical, biological warfare, psychological warfare. Did you say something, Roxy?
Yeah, that's psychological warfare.
Yes, music, psychological warfare, electric music. And 5,000 guys with masonite boards strapped on their chests, each one firmly grasping half a coconut shell in either hand, which they pummel rhythmically on the board. This is the cavalry. Cletus leads them into battle with his gleaming mystery horn. Many believe, in brackets, many believe this instrument to be nothing more than a C melody saxophone borrowed from Jackie Kelso. Jackie Kelso died in 2012. The enemy army of mediocrities of pedestrium, known as the MOP, M-O-P, M.O.P. the MOP, that's the Mothers of Prevention. When he does the Washington thing, 10, 12 years later,
he has an album. It's called The Mothers of Prevention, where he makes fun of all the offenders' wives in the Rock Censorship Committee. That's interesting. The MOP anticipates that. Mediocrities of Pedestrium. The enemy army of mediocrities of pedestrium, known as the MOP, has similar sections except for a new platoon of sinister mercenaries called the String Section, or alternately the Sweetener. The main difference between the two armies, however, is the MOP is heavy on vocals. So Zappa is not heavy on vocals. And he's talking about his experience of working with symphony orchestras. He's already having, remember, with that guy in May 1970, we played in the gymnasium. He has trouble with, interest, getting these guys supposedly hired to play for you. They're not really interested in your work. So he's calling them sinister mercenaries, the String Section. The MOP has 5,000 dynamic male vocalists in tuxedos who stand in the middle of the road, loosen their bow ties, and arch one eyebrow. Okay, now he always used to arch his eyebrow. So he was doing the vocalists. Hadn't thought of that before. 5,000 dynamic male vocalists with fringe smocks, tunics, jumpers, and nudie shirts. What was that? He has 5,000 dynamic male... Oh, the clothing is what's different. 5,000 dynamic male vocalists in tuxedos. 5,000 dynamic male vocalists with fringe smocks, tunics, jumpers, and nudie shirts. 5,000 dynamic but carefully understated male vocalists in old Levi clothes who cry, sulk, whimper, and play harmonica. So he's talking about the regular radio content. Plus 5,000 more dynamic performers of indeterminate sex who can't sing at all, but dance good and do hot moves with the mic wire. So there's your entertainment, your military entertainment industrial complex. What is it? Military industrial entertainment complex. And Zappa has to deal with this in Los Angeles. He's describing the world of Los Angeles, right? All the showbiz music going on that he finds irritating.
Well, he was in a battle.
In a battle.
Thing.
So he's battling. He's battling the vocal stuff. That's why his vocal lyrics are so ridiculous. But then below the ridiculousness, they're scientifically programmed to tell Bob knowledge. But on the surface, they seem ridiculous. And he's not that interested in mainstream radio with too much emphasis on crying, sulking, whimpering, and playing harmonica. Now, all of this stuff...
Yes, it sounds exaggerated, but most songs are really like that.
Right. Now, you got here 5,000 in the Air Force, 5,000 in the artillery, 5,000, that's 15, 20,000. 20,000 in that band, in Cletus's band. And this one had similar... But, 5,000 male tuxedos, 5,000 Levi. He's listed with 20,000 too, mediocrities. But these are reinforced by 100,000 black girl backup singers. And you know what this would be? In Uncle Meat, he talks about using, invisible, subliminal sound harmonics and frequencies to do all kinds of things to people. This is like a huge battle of frequencies, right? Huge battle of acoustic sonar stuff. These are reinforced by 100,000 black girl backup singers, assorted, who sway in a trained manner and get funky on command. As if that weren't enough, there's another 5,000 girl lead singers, many of which are so sensitive they're invisible, and the rest of which are so overwhelming they hurt your eyes whenever the light gets on them. Very sensitive singers. I'm sure Roxy put up with these fucking divas down there in the Mexico nightclub scene, right, Roxy? They drive you up the wall.
Wow.
You turn up to sing clavier whenever they started trying to take over the band, right? Did you experience that? Did you have warfare against other bands? We have Bert. We have actually one of these fucking dupes
of the music industry right with us now.
There is always like a big deal. Who is going to open? Who is going to be closing?
It's and so you witnessed that, right? How did you do? Did you win most of them? Lose most of them?
Well, I didn't really care, but for the other members of the band were like, no, we're not opening for that.
You were always indifferent. You didn't give a fuck about reality at all, did you?
Yeah, but I was like, hey, we can go earlier. It's okay.
This is funny. So you got 20,000 performers of different clothing and 100,000 black girl backup singers. Those are the ones that don't get the credit. We watched that movie. They're not the Wrecking Crew, but they're like 10. It's called 20 Steps from Stardom. They're the repeated. There's only 5 of them, and they're repeated, and every band's using them. And I played a excerpt, Leslie somebody or Leslie Lily. I played her leading Mick Jagger last week in the music thing. And there's a movie on these women that's pretty neat. And what happens to them, because they never make it big. They're just support, background, and they're really good at it. But it leads to other professions, just like Roxy. Roxy has become an important fixture in the Reichstag, working for the Nazis. I mean, she's right there where Hitler killed people. How does it look? Can you smell the blood, Roxy? Can you smell it? Or were we not supposed to talk about that? Is that top secret, Roxy?
Of course.
But it's all bullshit. She does not work for the Reichstag people. I'm just making it up. Well, who would work for the Reichstag? There's no such fucking force anymore. It's long gone.
Yes, what were you saying about the backup singers?
Yes, let's quickly change the topic. As if that weren't enough, the 100,000, there's another 5,000 girl lead singers, many of which are so sensitive they're invisible. I remember when I first read that, I found that quite clever. So sensitive they're invisible. Oh, that Frank's a genius. And the rest of which are so overwhelming they hurt your eyes whenever the light gets on them. Does that mean they're not nice to look at?
Good. But maybe something else. Just they're real sensitive. Diva.
Yeah,
maybe the diva complex. He's
yeah, but they hurt your eyes. They hurt your eyes.
Oh no.
They get lit up and they hurt you. That sounds like ionic technology. Every Monday, the mop marches into Aritus country. Are you still here, Roxy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Are you eating?
No, I was thinking.
Well, let's hear your thoughts.
Which way this could hurt your eyes?
Yeah, they're invisible, and the rest of which are so overwhelming they hurt your eyes whenever the light gets on them. Every Monday, the mop, that's Mediocrities' gang, marches into Aritus country and lines up outside the main metropolitan area. By means of small but powerful portable transmitters, the combined forces of Mediocrities proceed to croon, strut, blither, and bloop a suspiciously accessible barrage of ditties into the airwaves in an attempt to anesthetize the decent townspeople into drooling submission. There he is, complaining about Top 40 radio. Same theme from 6 years before, right? This is like a variation of Jericho. Now, when he talks in Uncle Meat about frequencies knocking down walls and things, that is what Jericho's technology was. Was that his name? The walls of Jericho came tumbling down. So he's replaying that image, archetype, which is how these things would be. See, in the Uncle Meat thing, he's talking about the potential warfare that can be done by sound waves. Now he has them doing it.
Never realized that before. I haven't thought about it. My alibi is haven't read this in 20 or 30 years, so this is a continuation of the Uncle Meat story. It's what. Well, this was Stu. Where the fuck, Uncle fucking? Oh, so Stu is the big hand that makes this fake environment. Remember, you were talking about the fake hand that reaches in. That's Uncle Meat's hand. So he creates these little model battles. They line up outside the main metropolitan area by means of small but powerful portable transmitters. The combined forces of mediocrities proceed to croon, strut, blither, and bloop a suspiciously accessible barrage of ditties into the airwaves in an attempt to anesthetize the decent townspeople into drooling submission. So what do you predict Cletus does? What's he going to do to beat that? He's up against a big sound frequency warfare. You know what he does? Cletus and the Army Aritus defend their turf by marching to a nearby hummock and playing a shuffle. They fucking do nothing. It's a Dobbs method. Do nothing. Relax and allow. Look, you go to a nearby hummock, that would be a little hill, and you play a shuffle? What would you? That would, 2 people could do that. He's got 20,000 people working for him. Frank has obviously gone off the deep end trying to figure out how to end the story. He couldn't end the story. He made up a ridiculous ending. His imagination broke. What is a shuffle? Is that a certain kind of rhythm?
I think it's you can play like a rhythm, like very rhythmically, like tack 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 tack. But if you shuffle, it's like you
the sliding.
Sort of, give it like
you use brushes.
Yeah, like you don't do it like a robot, but you give it more
massage. I'm looking up the word shuffle, Japanese visual novel, but that has an explanation after it. Shuffle along, the lost history of black performance. Shuffle along, music. And see what happens. He puts shuffle music in. Here's a YouTube, best shuffle music. But before we do that, how to shuffle all songs or genre in Apple Music. How to shuffle all your songs in Apple Music. That's something different, right?
Yeah. That's a function on the iPhone or the iPod.
Okay, look at this. You go to shuffle and they have a disambiguation. They've got in dance, shuffle is a tap dance, a type of footwork in tap dance, or a shuffle step, a type of footwork in ballroom dance. The Melbourne Shuffle, a rave dance originating from Melbourne, Australia. And then there's a video game, music, different. So it is it's smoke and mirrors. You do it, so it's a dance, not playing an instrument. It fucking does a dance. Now, Frank, I think Dave Wally said that Frank couldn't dance, didn't dance, didn't like dancing, but when he was on a big TV show, and I think he was playing one of his songs, and he actually did a little dance, but it was like this little timid shuffle. So he acted out his own script. That's what we discovered here. He did a shuffle on Saturday Night Live or something. So that's the story, and it's never been so completed as I have just performed. We now know the meaning. It's Uncle Meat, 1969, Part 2.
That's the terrible situation of music.
Yeah, so Zappa, that means that Zappa, when he went on TV and had to do a little dance, he was being the army trying to dance off the million of singers that were happening. Millions of musicians. Like he was against the ear. Coker has a cassette he put out in the late 80s, and it's titled, "The Ear Must Be Destroyed." Frank was trying to destroy the ear, which is what Ian said to Ben Watson when Zappa came through. Zappa says, "Oh, shit, they like this?" And he would go and try to make something even worse. But he didn't make worse music. It got better and better. So nobody knows what they're talking about when you're dealing with a quadrophenic artist. Okay, so we're going to now see what he says about all this stuff. Just taking a downbeat interview, November 9th, 1972. He says, since the earliest... Now, do we want to... Okay, so talking about the Illuminati and the Freemasons, and how do we overlap this? What do we see here? He's showing that the new battle, this is like a McLuhan-esque point, the new battle isn't visual conditioning. It isn't visual signal so much. It's an acoustic battle for power. The Illuminati is involved in manipulating sound, sound environments. That's the tactile world of McLuhan. We come to the same conclusion again. That Zappa was an audio version of McLuhan.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I mean, he has to write a liner notes, so what's he do? He takes the most important reality of the day, which is, McLuhan said, we live entirely by music. So we're living by music, so it has to be a battle in music, a battle of frequencies, and apparently I won. Cletus, it was half me and half Frank, right?
Cletus versus...
Not Mediocrities. That's James Martinez or Matthew Hurtado or somebody like that. They go for the stupid mainstream singing. But now that I'm on the RNA drops, I like any kind of music, it seems. I've lost all discriminating ability.
Yes.
So earlier he was describing, I was Cletus, right? Then it became Frank. Isn't that right? Isn't that what happened? We were saying it was me for a while there.
Yeah, at the beginning.
Yeah, and then it started to become him. So Stu has Frank versus Bob in his hologram. And remember, I have that in my chart. I've got Rumpelstiltskin, but it is a Xenocronus chart based on Zappa's tiny or big note. And it says the Grand... Does it say It says Decadence, but does it say Grand? It has Grand Wazoo in the title there, I think.
Yes.
Do you have my chart there?
Yes, I do. It says Xenocronus Bob's tiny note, the Grand Wazoo's Decade Dance.
Holy shit. And this has the word chart in it. The charts. I didn't even know. It was my chart versus his chart. It's the new song versus the old song. Are you stunned by this, Roxy? Are you dumbfounded? Trying to figure out... Are you still here? Oh, maybe she got disconnected. Wait, you're on my phone. Can't be disconnected. Maybe she's in the bathroom. Hey! I guess I'm going to have to try the phone again. I'll put on some music. I'm going to play something from the Grand Wazoo. Okay?
Yeah, eat that question if you can.
All right. Now, let's just check with Bill to see if he's asking me if I'm stopping the show. No, we can't. We're right in the middle of it. We're going to continue, it looks like, for another hour. Unless, yeah. Okay, so let's find some Zappa to play. Eat That Question. Eat That Question. 1972, 6:43, and then there's a short version in 1988. So we'll play that. So I got to bring up the. I have to open some things there. That question. I've got so many things on the wall here. I can't find my sound button. I've got so many things downloaded. Holy shit, man!
That was a big battle.
That was a big battle. You can hear it.
Yes.
He's attacking everything.
Against the popular music that keeps people drooling.
Yeah.
Yeah, the temple was destroyed. We will build the temple again.
Please help. We'll let us take the temple. No, this.
Hello?
Well.
Well, you can't.
Are you still alive after the battle?
You guys.
Your phone's cracking and.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yes, he's still being attacked by a frequency commando. Wow. He's still fighting.
And you're on Bob's line, though, correct, Roxana? Bob called you. Wow, but his phone is. You can hear him cracked a little.
He was trying to reconnect to the Skype because
Yeah.
I updated. But then.
So how was Berlin? How's the vibe in Berlin?
Oh, now it's wonderful because it's springtime and it's sunny.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Yes.
Finally. Yes. We can finally work on it.
Uh-oh, Bob.
Like Mediocrities. Hey, Commander, magnitude. Yeah, he got lost.
Yeah.
Yes, I actually wanted to understand how these Masonic groups that were initiated to do this.
Just left the conference.
Yeah, it's interesting that you brought up that. You go ahead about how the Masonics organize themselves.
They turn against the monarchy of the church that gave them the knowledge and took over in the republic. And then, for example, Napoleon goes to Egypt and tries to retrieve all this knowledge of Moses, and then the Nazis prohibited Masonry. There is
really? So the Nazis, did you say Nazis prohibited?
Against Yes.
The Nazis prohibited. Oh wow, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yes, because they were into the occult. They knew they had to fight mediocrities. Cletus.
Yeah, you should get that dreaming tape.
Yes, what is
get the
the
dreaming
about Parallel World? Or
yeah, they talk about it. Yeah, Carolyn does the first part, and then Bob. I think Bob comes in at the end of Carolyn's session, but then Bob does a whole section on part B, which is really fascinating to listen to. But they talk about the Masons. There was one saying that said, "Have you been to the East and West and back again?" Which is their will travel. I remember that.
They want me to try to come back. But...
Yes.
Hey guys, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, I forgot to flip the fucking thing back after getting Roxy. Can you hear me?
Yes. Still a little cracking, but we can hear you now.
Right. What happened is I went and got her, and then I forgot to remove the flash step back. I thought I did that, so I was in. I don't know why we could. But okay, so look, I heard what you were saying. We'll get back to that. I just want to say this. I already said it, and I thought you guys were hearing, but you didn't. The Roxy was.
Bob, you went out.
Bob, you've got some real bad line noise. It sounds like you've got a cable on your phone coming loose. Real bad static, and now you cut out completely.
Phone on another line. Bob never.
Just left the conference.
Hello, is anyone else there?
Gene's the only other one on. Gene, I just unmuted you. I think Bob's going to get a different phone.
Okay, but thanks. Too much dead air. I'll read some Thompson.
Okay, Bob just sent me a message. He said to tell Roxy to hang up, but I don't see anybody on the board, so I don't know what he's talking about.
Okay, Bill. Thanks. I'll read some Thompson until he gets back. The idea that there is form on one hand and content on the other comes from a mentality we owe to literature. But technology is now our culture, and so McLuhan was right. The medium is the message. Our gadgets of TV, netbook computers, cell phones, Blackberries, and iPods are not instruments to express a culture. They are a culture. They are the culture. McLuhan also pointed out that each new technological extension is an amputation. If we have cars, we not walk to the corner store. Artificial intelligence, therefore, is part of an oft-noted American dumbing down process and has served to make humans less intelligent. I am old enough to remember a better educated high school culture and recall a time when Americans weren't so dumb as to make Sarah Palin the most successful nonfiction writer in publishing history. So it was natural at James Cameron's part to take a collection of movie cliches from Dances with Wolves and Star Wars, as well as other memes spliced in from the Hollywood gene pool that John David Elbert pointed out in his blog Cinema Discourse, and use them as the basis for his technological tour de force, Avatar, which has become the greatest earning movie in history. Avatar's success, like Sarah Palin's, is owed to its superficiality. Even the addition of 3D could not hide the movie's lack of depth. With cliched plot and stock characters, Cameron was not making a film version of a novel, but another Western as a moral allegory of the military-industrial complex versus the Gaian tree huggers of the New Age. But like ivy vines on the legs of a Victorian sewing, the iron legs of Victorian sewing machines, the moral allegory itself is yet another level of camouflage. The Great Spirit and the natives are the products of a computerized entertainment technology. Disney may have pioneered this territory in which the cute animatron figures of Disney World are controlled by an invisible technological complex. But the film Avatar, like Fantasia before it, is one of those works of popular culture that mark a transformation of the polity. Fantasia marked the end of the authority of high culture and used classical music and the poetry of Goethe as camouflage for the structure of pop culture's takeover. How many Americans now have ever heard of Goethe or realized that The Sorcerer's Apprentice is one of his poems? In Avatar, Cameron has persistently given us a description of the Obama administration and the Democratic Party. Although we, naive liberal progressives, thought we were voting for a change from a military-industrial complex of Bush and Cheney, Obama has proved himself to be its loyal avatar sent among us to win our trust and trick us out of our votes. Now, as president, he has not only reached across the aisle, but shifted sides as he first rescued the banks through Geithner and Summers, then rescued the medical insurance companies, and is now ignoring our mass unemployment, suffering, and economic stagnation to ask for gigabillions to shore up the military and to keep the imperial war machine going against the Islamist natives fighting the great Satan of Uncle Sam. In taking entertainment technology to the new level, Cameron has also persistently described the end of the university as a cultural authority. Once to be a scholar, you had to be part of the church. Later scholars could escape to an academe that they had become. Once to be a scholar, you had to be part of the church. Later scholars could escape to an academe that they had become its own high church. No, it's still wrong. Once to be a scholar, you had to be part of the church. Later scholars could escape to an academe that had become its own high church. Since World War II, the university has been a place for intellectuals to escape from the business world. But now business has taken over academe, and even the creative writing departments must conform to the corporate interests of the publishing and media industries, a complex in which Rupert Murdoch owns them all. Academic administrators are now managers from the entertainment industry. They see which majors are popular moneymakers and have begun to eliminate the losers of the humanities from the curriculum. Classics, philosophy, English, these are to be placed by programs in media and communication, Sarah Palin's major of choice. Retiring faculty are now replaced with Retiring faculty are now replaced with young professors, but are replaced by inexpensive temps who are paid for piecework without benefits and have to commute between several colleges to make enough to scrape out a meager living. Soon the middle management academia will eliminate faculty who have failed to turn themselves into celebrities by replacing them with Time Warner cable lecture series and Kindle downloaded textbooks, for which they will probably earn a percentage or a finder's fee for delivering the contract. Expensive sport complexes will continue to be built to inspire the business majors with corporate team spirit and the love of their alma mater. After all, the academic sports are the entertainment industry at its Saturday's best. After all, academic sports are the entertainment industry at its Saturday best, producing new athletes, superstars for future Super Bowls, and its theater for dazzling new corporate ads. In the near future, the ultimate entertainment of industry will not be to produce subversive avatars to infiltrate the native culture, but to offer a choice of temporary cultures for us to inhabit for the thrill of it. Reality TV will be passed up by the appropriation of reality, otherwise known as politics, comfortable in our electronic couch. We can inhabit our cliches and call it America, the greatest show on earth. Bob, you back?
Yes. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Make America gay again.
Okay, I wanted to, Bert, we heard songs. Eat That Question, a 6-minute version, then a 2-minute version, and then A Kid in His Arm for a third song. I was struck at how fucking powerful they were.
Yes.
And actually I heard...
they knocked us out.
Yeah, they knocked us out. And the battle. But I heard Roxy, you guys couldn't hear me for some reason, I heard her saying what I'm saying. But the thing I wanted to add is, I've been playing a lot of nice music at the beginning of the show, and not playing or hearing any Zappa for a couple of weeks. When I heard it again, I was so impressed with the power, and then also, he's attacking. He's doing music to attack people.
Yes. From the first note. The first note. Like a bomb.
Can you hear me, Bert?
Yes, I can hear you, Bob, but there's still some cracking and scratching going on.
Yeah, we might have to. Maybe Maui. I'm on the other phone, and it's still screwing up. Oh, now it's balanced. Yeah, maybe it's going to cycle in and out. But, yeah, you're saying the very first note Zappa did was an aggressive note. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, right from the start, and then it was just like, boom. It's like your first description you described to me to Zappa. It's like what did you say? Like when you go to a concert, it's like what did you say?
Another world.
Spaceship, another world or a spaceship.
It's a UFO. Yeah, it's a UFO.
Yes.
It's in Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. You know, you're just seeing an amazing environment right in front of you.
Yeah.
So
yes, the music has its force compared to the other things one hears.
Sorry, Ted, take it out. We might have to stop this. We might end at the top of the hour and then take a break.
Maybe. You put some
Yeah. I like to play what we heard. It was so good. I'd play it again. Something else. But
yeah.
Can you hear it? Can you hear us, Bert?
Yes. Now stop. Whoa. You're clear now.
Right. What was Roxy saying? Speak now, Roxy, while we got the opening.
Yes, the music has its force, and the contrast when you hear other types of music and then you hear Zappa, you feel the power.
Yes. How did he get that power? You know, maybe he's got better amplification, better technology, but it's just undeniable. And how's he getting it?
Well, it's more complex music at all levels. There's a lot of things going on.
You see how they couldn't play that on pop radio? It would disrupt people's lives too much.
Yes.
You can't drive along in the car, you know, in a traffic jam, driving to work, and have fucking like that shit blasting at you. You're going to switch the station. So they actually maybe didn't care about his political views. They censored him because his music was too powerful and disrupted the mood of the radio station. They'd lose listeners. Not because it was bad music, it was just too powerful, too distracting.
Yeah. But you can tell that music was made for the technology we have now because the sound is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable to hear it. It's like you said, a spaceship from the first note.
I'm actually thinking that the drops are making... I was hearing... These things were new. I, never heard these things before. I've played them before, but... A little break there. Zappa's attacking us.
It's like you're in that lab of the...
Yeah, Uncle Meat's lab. Studebaker Hawk's lab, man.
But you know what it sounds like, Bob? It sounds just like what you described in that outline of the band of 5,000 guitars or whatever. That's what it sounded like. I mean, I'm wondering how many piece band was that made that cut? Because it sounds huge. I mean, really huge.
Let's see which album that is.
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I'll drop again. Hello?
Oh. Up. Just say the band.
Yes.
Grand Wazoo.
Mediocrities doesn't give up. Can you hear me?
Yes. I hear you, Roxanne.
Is there anybody out there?
It says on Wiki that Eat That Question only has 7 issues. What was I reading? I was reading William Irvin Thompson, a guided off of Dupes, something Bob posted years ago. It's called Avatar, When Technology Displaces Culture, by William Irvin Thompson.
And he's quoting McLuhan?
Yes, that's amazing. That's what I highlighted. I started out with that. Yeah, he's quoting McLuhan. Yeah.
Mm.
Well, Bob said last week that William Irvin Thompson is a McLuhanite, and he's now, from Bob reading him, he's becoming the most important McLuhanite because due to his connection with Bob and Bob's chart, because he really outlines a lot of predicting ion. A lot. It's amazing, just what we've covered in the last 2 weeks. But Bob did some really interesting classes on what youth of William Irvin Thompson. It's amazing. I have no idea about this.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Brack's back.
Yeah. Oh, no, Tom. It's always.
Bob, you've got a headset cable going out. That's what's making all the noise, and every now and then it goes out completely and we lose you. If you can change headsets, it'll go away.
Change
Yeah, your microphone or whatever you use.
Okay. Yes. Carolyn.
Hey, Bob.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
Clear now.
Okay, just a second.
Well, another thing I see a lot in all these buildings is the columns. And in some of the castles, they use the Dorint on the first floor and the Ionic on the second, and the Corinthian also may be used, for example, in the chapels. And the columns, because in the Temple of Solomon, they were so important, and they represent the connection between the heaven and earth and the support. And we see the capital of the Corinthian column in the bottle.
Yes.
So those are the elements that made me have this interest on the Masons and trying to understand their role and all these things we are retrieving in these castles, because there is really a lot of information, a lot of very enigmatic things, and I'm just like trying to understand what is all this about.
Okay, you guys can hear me, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think Bill was right. My headset was broken, was screwed up. So I just put on Carolyn's headset, and it's all clear again. So I'm sorry we screwed up that. A couple of points you were saying. Yeah, I agree with what you said, Bert. Rereading Thompson, he already was the best New Ager because he used McLuhan, but now he's got this other ionic thing. He becomes the most important McLuhanite, and I got Roxy to go on a new McLuhan forum group. I had not heard of them, been around for a year or two. And did you read that they said, what are you saying, Bob? Thompson is influenced by McLuhan. Did you see that? Did you read it, Roxy? They got mad at me. Or one or two of them.
Well,
that means they don't even read.
And that's completely anti-McLuhan.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, it's a long story what I did on there. If you're interested, Bert, I can give you the site and you can join it. There's some good scholars, sort of good scholars on there. But back to this Zappa thing. Okay, I want to just play the beginning of Eat That Question, the 6-minute thing. Hear that. Why can't I hear it? What am I doing wrong? Got to bring the volume up, maybe. Yeah, maybe that would help. You hear that?
No. There's a distant echo. We hear a distant echo, but no music.
Okay, so I got to switch it over. Maybe that's the issue. Okay, bring it up here. I'm just going to play a bit of it. It didn't seem to have the shark attack, so I'll do the other one. No, it's not working. Oh, maybe I've got that stupid sound. So many buttons here. Okay, that one.
It feels like a lot of noise.
Yeah,
sounds like Stockhausen.
I can't get it through because it makes too much noise and some button is screwed up. Maybe the radio audience is hearing it though. The heck with it. Forget that. We're going to have to end at the top of the hour. It's too screwed up here. No, it isn't. I've got it fixed, didn't I? I can't play the music, so forget that. Let me get on to an article. Unless you were saying something about why you're in these architectures, Roxy.
Yes.
Yes, the elements that some are used a lot by the Masons, like the column.
Yes.
That you also have the Corinthian column in the bottle, and one may wonder, why do you have this column? And actually, the columns are very important in the Solomon Temple.
And it's like, hey, Roxy, Carol and I and Sheila knew nothing. We just followed Ion's orders. Ion designed that. Ion.
Of the Temple of Solomon.
Yeah.
Like the columns, for example.
Yeah.
But also the pyramids are like the base of the composition of different ornamentations. And you can see that if you turn the bottle upside down, you see this crowned head and the flower of leaves and the pyramid and the angels. It's like also like the altar of the Temple of Solomon with the cherubims. Like a type of synthesis, or that reminds you of these things. Like there is a lot of information there that, and that's the thing with the code breakers, and that was the type of education these Masons got. They learn how to read the ornamentation, for example, see more in the proportions and all these different levels of meaning. And, for example, as Frank I built Chambord, St. Peter's was also built, and they have another type of column, which is the Solomonic order, which is like the spiral column they have in the altar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But they were all like trying to retrieve, for example, Chambord is supposed to be the New Jerusalem.
Wow.
And they just left it like almost finished, but it's not finished. Like you have to, but they knew what they had to do is done. Now the next level, or the pyramidion, the end, is what comes with the completion, I suppose.
Yes.
But all these things are there. And I show Bob, there is another castle in a place called Ayon.
Really?
Is
it in Greece?
Yes, it's a region of France. No, in France. It's called Ayon, and there are many smaller castles that are not known, but one is like a pentagon. And the stairs in the center are the same like in Chambord, and there is on top an opening, and it's built on top of water. So the light coming up creates like a cylinder of light, and it's a very nice thing with the water on the bottom. And each level of that castle is very complex, and the people say you can get lost there because you don't know exactly where you are. It's very hard to orientate yourself.
Oh, wow.
And so there are all these very enigmatic places, and one wonders, what is all this? These things exist, and they are there.
Well,
and it's all this tradition of the builders, of the programmers of the environment.
That's right. But we can ask Ion.
Yes.
We do have a way of answering. We can believe him as much as you believe anybody else.
You know that you were working with Moses, and you were actually telling Moses what to do.
Right.
Yeah. Yes.
And the Masons were the people doing the handwork, but the planning, like this Pentagon castle, also nobody knows who was the architect, and the architect was Bob and Moses, or Leonardo, or all of them. I don't know.
Well, as I'm thinking about it, I can get a big, crazy notion of myself. If evoking iron is the original alchemy, then maybe for 5,000 years, I have been doing stuff like getting myself ahead of myself and blocking out my awareness of being Ophanel or something. I might have been doing a lot of stuff to myself. That's why I won't tell me what's going on. And if, on the thread, I'm not saying I don't know if I believe it. I don't have any direct experience that I'm Ophanel or anything. But if iron is this phenomenal, then you have to be somebody pretty unique to trigger this off, and did it without any fucking knowledge of anything. That's what's fucking crazy.
Yes, but the thing is, you cannot turn it off. It's like, for example, I have dreams, or I'm taking a break, and these things keep on appearing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, what is this?
It's like you're in the frequency. You're possessed by it. And you, as Ian used to say, a lot of his simple statements 3-4 years ago have real richer meaning now. He says, once you wake up or get aware or something, you can't go back. You can't go back to a pre-ionic situation, Roxy. I apologize for that. I didn't know I'd ruined your life like that. I didn't know I'd ruined millions of people's lives.
One has to expand in the mind and just be open to things that is hard for a rational mind to understand. Like, there is no time. And Moses was going from the future, and you'll do this.
He's all over the place.
Then they did all these castles for a reason.
Well, you know,
and now we are discovering them.
Right. Now, I was going to say that as we give more of these powerful testimonials in the RNA drops, I can see why a neophyte, a person coming into our scene, it's like they got to start saying, well, this is like LSD or ayahuasca. This is going to do something to me. I can see why some people would run away from the RNA drops, just be intimidated. And then even hearing Ion, they're saying, I'm going to be mutated. I got to get away from this place. You know what I mean? We could be building up more and more resistance in some people. I mean, other people are going to come and they can't stop and they'll get involved. But there could be a new intimidation factor going on as Ian keeps performing.
Well, I wanted to share with Carolyn the Renew testimony that I had. I went to the dentist, and I've had most of my allopathic dealings with dentistry, not so much the doctors. I left doctors long ago when I got out of football. But I've had this tooth that when I first got to Switzerland, they put a crown on it, and it's been a tooth that's been a problem for 30 years. And when I went to the dentist's office in October, I started before I went to the dentist in October, I started putting Renew right on the crown around the edge because it was looking kind of weird and the skin was going down. So when I went to the dentist's office, they freaked out and said they're going to have to pull the tooth and create an implant because my blood may get infected and it'll, kill, give you that death and destruction thing. Your blood would be poisoned and it'll have an infection and so let me schedule a appointment so we can take care of the tooth. So I walked out of the office and I sent the dentist an email and said, look, I used some Chinese medicine knowledge. I said, look, it's wintertime. It's not good to pull a tooth because the tooth is related to the bones, and the bones are weak in the winter due to the kidneys. So we'll see what happens in spring. So right after I did that, I just really started diligently putting a swab of RNA of Renew around my gum. And sometimes, because I have a hole, I do have some bone loss, so I did put some Renew into the tooth. And I've been doing it since October. So then Thursday, I had my dentist appointment. And I could tell that the hygienist, when she was looking at my tooth, that she was prepared because she had my x-rays up on her little computer screen and everything. And I just sat calmly in the chair, and she went directly to the tooth. And the tooth was good.
Wow. Like she knew that was the real problem, so she knew to go there to see how bad it was.
Right. But you should, and then what's funny is that since I've been on RNA drops, when I do get my teeth clean, it gets less and less time. And this time, which was really funny, is I think when I first got RNA drops, it would take 50 minutes and then, 45. But this time, which supposedly, I guess she thought that she would find something, it only took 40 minutes. But I could tell she kept looking, You could tell she went one round at the bottom, another round at the top, and then she went back and looked at the tooth again and started picking around and everything. And then she got and said, okay, we're finished. And it really looks good, but if your tooth hurts, please call right away because you're in danger.
What took 40 minutes? What are you talking about? What takes 40 minutes?
when they clean your teeth and they try to pick out the what.
It takes less time to clean your teeth.
It takes less time this time. Yes, it takes less time, and this time it was 40 minutes, but she actually could have been less because she kept trying to look for something with the tooth, but she couldn't find anything. And it's a crown tooth.
So you're saying that they rebuilt the enamel and stuff like that?
It's the skin, because what it is, it's a crown, but you see some of the old tooth underneath the crown, and that's when I started putting the RNA, the Renew on the crown, on the tooth and the skin. And when I looked at it before I went to the dentist office, I was like, wow, the skin is up around the tooth where you barely see the other, you can barely see the old tooth. You just see the crown now.
Yeah, you saw the improvement before you went.
Yeah, yes. And it was just so funny, her eyes. That was her eyes, because the dentist could, there's no way that you can create and heal this tooth. You're going to have to pull it and do implants. And I'm like,
gums don't grow back up.
Yeah, that's what they say.
Yeah. Wow. And now you can put Renew in your mouth. It's not a problem. Whatever.
I've been doing it, and I'm fine. Yeah.
Wow.
That's what I've been doing.
That's pretty incredible. I remember dentists tell me, your gums have gone down a bit. They don't go back up. But yours went back up, grew back up, right?
Yes.
That is quite a testimony. Write that out. That's a good one.
Yes, I will. But it was so funny, her eyes, because, she saw something, but she had to rely on her training to tell me what she knew, but she couldn't believe what she saw.
Right. What do you think of that, Roxy?
Wow.
That's what those guys, Leonardo, were looking for, the magic substance to improve their teeth.
Yes, it's what I was talking about, that one has to expand in what one thought it's possible.
Right. So, you know what? I'm just going to address, so those that are listening, the Zappa fans, and we've been talking about Bob and Ion and how Zappa anticipated that. It sounds nutsy, but you just heard a testimony from one of our simpler products. The impossible is happening. That's what we're talking about, and that's what Frank was expressing. He was expressing impossible music. I think he even had that in one of his slogans, the word impossible. But he was anticipating the power of our products and our situation. So that's what we mean.
Well, it's the pushing beyond the limits of what one thinks is possible.
Yeah.
He was trying to do that with the music, and that's why he went to use the synclavier, because he said, here I can do more complex things that will take a long time for a musician to learn and practice.
Right.
And they won't get it right.
Hey, listen, we got 5 minutes. I want to read a couple of quotes here in this article. We can maybe do more next time. It says, for reasons known only to him, Frank Zappa decided to call his new ensemble the Grand Wazoo. See, nobody knew about this conspiracy stuff back then. So they didn't even know what he's talking about, and he's not telling them. And he says, the journalist says, for equally mysterious reasons, Zappa revealed the following about Wazoo. Quote, since the earliest days of the mother's invention, from about 1964 roughly, I have been interested in assembling some kind of electric orchestra capable of performing intricate compositions at the same sound intensity levels normally associated with other forms of pop music. So he wants to make the classical music as powerful as amplified rock. And we just did that. Just heard it. And then it says, there's an air of formality about the whole project, and formality is as foreign to Zappa as it is to Southern California, but these are unusual times. The search for newness is taking musicians out of their accustomed molds and casting them in unfamiliar settings. Jazz men are discovering the financially rewarding world of rock, and conversely, some rockers are latching on to the creatively stimulating milieu of jazz. And this is an article in Downbeat magazine, the Jazz Bible. Zappa is one of the latter, and to many of his startled fans, shifting into reverse, in other words, going from bizarre to straight, is the ultimate in put-on. They keep thinking Frank is putting them on. As Frank explained it, quote, to begin with, the Wazoo bears little resemblance to any previous form of rock and roll band. There are 20 musicians in it who mostly sit down and read music from an array of charming little fiberboard stands. Nobody sings, nobody dances, they just play music. Remember, he's not going to do the 5,000 singers dancers, all right? Then the journalist says,
That may be anathema to his fanatical rock followers. It may even turn his groupies into novitiates. But for the jazz-oriented, it signals a certain sense of orderliness. For a change, they're getting down to the music. And there are plenty of respected, paid-up members of local 47's jazz community to be found wazooing it. Among the trumpets, Malcolm McNabb and Sal Marquez. In the trombone section, Kenny Shorey, Glenn Ferris, Bruce Fowler. In the reeds, Jay Migliore, Charles Owens, Ray Reed, Mike Alcho. Dave Parlato is on electric bass, and Jim Gordon is on equally electric drums. For the most part, they're serious and dedicated, and Zappa is the first to admit it. Quote, very few of the Wazoo's members exhibit the normal pop musician's ability to function efficiently while garbed in fringes, feathers, or festoons. The concert presentation will be informal, reasonably straightforward, and non-theatrical. Those in the audience who make a fetish of close-range seats in order to scrutinize a group's soul squint grimace potential, you know, the singer squinting, the soul squint grimace potential, to see if they're really getting into it, may be disappointed to discover the Wazoo eyeball heavily oriented to the printed page and conductor's baton. The journalist says, incidentally, in the formal listing of sidemen, Zappa's instruments are guitar and white stick with cork handle. Those are his two instruments. And then it goes on, and, one can also find a contrabass sarrusophone among the amplified goodies in the Grand Wazoo, and that's something no jazz rock band should be without. Earl Dumler has the dubious distinction of making love to its double reed. In case you have forgotten what a sarrusophone is, it's a brass wind instrument about the size of a baritone sax that it can be found in some obscure symphonic scores doing the work usually assigned to the contrabassoon. Zappa regards Earl Dumler and his oddity as his, quote, one concession to overt showmanship. As Frank put it, with a face as straight as his baton, quote, it's possible for the first time to view a grown man with a mod haircut struggling against the forces of nature to extract accurate information from an amplified E-flat contrabass sarrusophone. End of quote. Charles Owens put it in more down-to-earth terms when talking about the tone it produces. Quote, sounds like an elephant playing soprano sax. So we're going to have some music, and so we're going to be back in 2 hours. So thanks for what we did. We got the Zappa second season on the road with a lot of technical bullshit, but the points were made anyways. The points were said.
So, is this the end?